Yeah.
I want to work.
Cool.
I want to go to work.
Cool.
So
Okay, so some of the most pressing ones that we brought up, and I want everyone to like step in and stuff because I think some things are more pressing to other people's. So I'm just going to say them. So no changes to the student conduct are without democratic student consent, and no final decision can be made until fall of 2017. None of this, like, it happens in the summertime when not a lot of students are here.
Could you say it one more time? You're going fast.
Oh yeah, sorry. So no changes to student conduct, the student code of conduct without democratic student consent. So it has to be something that students get a chance to see and approve in the academic school year.
And also
In the academic school year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that change doesn't happen until the start of next year.
not during the summer.
Okay, I'm writing these down.
And then the other pressing one is to drop charges against R and Lawrence because we feel like they're rooted in anti-blackness, transphobia, and especially ableism. And they represent some of the most vulnerable parts of the school. And if they can't be supported by this institution, then what are we doing here? And then the third one, and this is the one where I'm like iffy, is basically fire Andrea Siebert. But the reason why I'm iffy on that is because yes, for sure, fire Andrea Siebert, but there's also concern that her position is directly tied to a lot of other people who possibly need to go in question and possibly should be fired as well.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
There was a clause in there that I didn't hear the full part of. You
Yes,
said
so we are concerned that Andrea Siebert is also a distraction and that there's people who she reports to who also need to be called in question. So we're saying fire Andrea Siebert, but we're really interested in really critiquing and figuring out where a lot of these flaws are happening.
So that gets back to point one, the changes in student conduct have to be
Yeah.
vetted by students.
Yeah, for sure, but so to the needs and safety of Black students, other students of color, trans students, students with disabilities, and students who have experienced sexual assault. Siebert Olson has been given an ample amount of time to educate herself, and the amount of time needs to analyze the needs of more marginalized students, and has failed to show evidence of an effort or effectiveness. We believe at this point there is no way for Andrea Siebert Olson to redeem herself, as her reputation is directly influenced her ability to do her job. The students who are most in danger,
Keep going.
the students who are most in danger in the current climate and culture of both Evergreen campus in the United States do not view Siebert Olson as a safe person to seek help from. If Siebert Olson has an image of unsafety built from her past actions, she is ill-equipped to do the job that students are paying her to do. We require the immediate fire of Siebert Olson and the student body, and that the student body has a voice in her replacement. The reason why I brought up the previous points is because, yes, Siebert Olson has proved to be terrible at her job. I've heard students say things like, the only reason why I considered not coming to Evergreen is because people were telling me before I got here that she is someone who is unsafe and that she's in a position of power. So that to me proves that there's no way for her to do her job effectively. And then my earlier point is that there are people who she reports to who have approved her actions, and we don't necessarily know their names, and they need to be called into question as well, as not just this like figurehead name that we actually have access to. So those are like the three pressing ones, but there's also a whole host of other demands that were.
Now, can I address
Yeah,
one of
for
them?
sure. Yeah.
I don't know if you was everything you wanted to else, but I looked into the possibility of dropping charges against Lawrence and the Attorney General said under no circumstances do you, George Burgess, the president of the college, have a legal standing to do that. You cannot legally do that.
So here's my thing, and I'll be really candid, is I haven't slept, eaten, or gone to class, and I am someone who like that's what we're here to do in this institution. I've been working on protecting the student body and everyone in the student body for the last few weeks. That's y'all's job, as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
And so I'm not getting compensated for that. I'm missing work, I'm missing school, I'm paying to be here. And as far as I'm concerned, if the Attorney General says that can't happen, that's y'all's job to fight that. Because what we are saying is that for us to view you as protecting for us to view you as doing your job that we're paying you to do, then you need to fight every obstacle that potentially is unprotecting us. And so I'm not saying that you need to make a solid decision if you can't be the person to make that decision, but you need to be the one fighting for us so that we don't have to stay up all night. I didn't sleep last night and I'm here right now. And so y'all need to be the people doing this labor.
So I think that we need to instead talk about policy, like what policy do you have to address, like, because there's other things that like are involved with conflict resolution, and there's other methods of handling conflict resolution than the way that their case is being handled. And so if that is something that you cannot do, then y'all need to be looking at the policy to understand what you need to do to support students better through conflict resolution.
So, I can let Wendy speak on the conduct code process. The moment I walked on this campus, she and I began discussing the conduct code and what changes it needed to be made. We have been reviewing it with respect to the state laws because we are governed by state laws. And yet, we know, thanks to all of you, that the conduct code process is not working as well as it could. Some could argue it's not working at all. I think it's not working as well as it could. It has to be better. Okay? And then the question is, how do we bring students into the conversation about making those policies, we're talking about the conduct code policies, making those policies more responsive to the students and the issues you're raising. And that's where we are.
So is the Attorney General over their case currently at this school?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Does the Attorney General oversee their case here at this school?
Their case. Whose case?
The Lawrence and R.
They were actively involved in it. Step by step. That's my understanding. Wendy, do you have any additional comments on that?
Well, primarily the Attorney General advises the appeal board. So when a student appeals a decision of the conduct officer, they go before an appeal board made up of students, faculty, and staff. And an assistant attorney general is assigned to that group to help ensure that they follow the Administrative Procedures Act. So that's the primary goal.
It's highly legalistic.
So you're saying about bringing student voices into the student code of conduct, yet y'all have no students in the committee helping write this. Instead, you want students to come to a forum. That is a power
We're not
dynamic.
done. We're not done rewriting the code. It's
Right.
not done deal. It's got to change.
I understand that, but
Go
however,
ahead.
let me finish.
Sure, sorry.
Y'all need to think about that going forward. If y'all don't have students on the committee, how are you really getting the student voices? Y'all need to put students on there in order to really hear us, because we got shit to do. We are not just students. We have work. We can't just be showing up to these forums. Y'all want students actively making decisions. Y'all got to put them on a committee.
And what you and I and others have talked about, and what we talked about last Thursday, was hiring students to be a part of that committee work.
Right, but you wanted that in the summer. Well, this needs to be during fall when students are here, so that students can speak up on these things. Because if I come here during the summer, we both know that there's not going to be the same amount of student body that's here during the summer.
It's got to be both.
I think the students should have a voice in who is on the student.
Yeah, I think it can be
If
picked
you
by
guys are
this office.
responsible, I honestly, at this point, I don't trust anyone sitting up here. I don't trust the administration, I don't trust the professors, I don't trust the police officers. So you guys deciding who's gonna be on the student conduct board, that does nothing for me, because you're gonna choose people who practice and push forward the things that you want to see happen. We need people who we wanna see.
Great.
I'm tired of you guys putting who you wanna see on the board. You guys serve us, you're here working for us. We pay to be here. You guys get paid to be here.
If you want to name people, that's fine.
Names don't work. We've named them. Brett Weinstein. We've
No,
named countless.
name people to be on there.
What I was
Oh,
talking about
okay.
the students who would be involved, and I see this in response to Isaiah and in response to your comment, students working with us over the course of the summer, and then putting it before the students in the fall. That's what I heard you ask. Does that work? The students.
I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with that if they're getting paid. Because I mean, we won't make a final decision until the student body is here.
Yeah.
We can't wait till the fall to start the process.
Right, and do you have a concern about like it being used to weaponize against us?
What?
Like the code of conduct in terms of like.
I mean, I was talking about the Bill of Rights.
Oh,
like,
okay,
I
you're talking
mean,
about the Bill of Rights, okay.
The Bill of Rights can't be a thing. That's done.
Can't do that.
I'm hesitant to want to do it in the summer or to have people in the summer because we have 3 weeks left of school. In terms of putting this together and getting students to vote, I don't think there's enough time to vote to have students actively go into it this summer, and I think we should schedule that for fall.
To vote for what?
To approve or vet the, whatever changes. You may have misunderstood me, or I may not have been clear. I don't see any vetting occurring until the fall.
I'm talking about in terms of voting students up to go onto these committees to help. Yeah.
I think there needs to be no voting on anyone to join this committee, not this quarter, because you're talking about black and brown freshmen that are not here. You're talking about like trans freshmen that are not here, and you're talking about a whole group of students that are not here yet. That is going to be that new student code of conduct will be serving, and that doesn't seem equitable.
So should that begin in the fall? Are you willing? Here's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing you say, let's start the work, the student piece of the work, revising the code of conduct code in the fall, not over the summer.
The faculty piece and the student piece.
Right.
Like, it just doesn't need to be worked on at all until the fall, not just the student part of it, like the faculty, administration, all of that.
There are some pieces that involve simply aligning it with federal law.
Okay.
So we gotta do that.
My fear is that if we don't start some sort of process now, that they'll just be allowed to do anything until we start it. And so that's my concern, is that either they'll like try to operate on the current one we have, which is still fucked too, or there just won't be one until then. I don't know. So yeah.
So Jamil, what would you suggest?
I personally, and I feel like I guess we're at a disagreement, and so we should figure this out, but I personally am comfortable trying to decide, and I honestly think we can get fairly unanimous from the voices that we're concerned about, who should be doing the work over the summer, and then start that process, and then in the fall do very clear work that everyone involved, the incoming freshmen, yada yada yada, they all get to have a voice in what their concerns are. The reason why I say this is because yes, there's incoming freshmen who aren't here now, but then even after those freshmen graduate, there'll be more incoming freshmen who aren't there, who need to have a voice in it. So we need to voice it as a living document, a continuous process that students continuously have a voice in.
Right.
But we need to start the groundwork ASAP in order to maintain the momentum that we
Right.
have. We're gonna do that same bullshit we do where like we're angry now, it's spring, we leave, we go in the summer, the same angry people aren't angry anymore and aren't here anymore in the fall to start doing that work.
That's
And
right.
so I need the catalyst to happen from the
Can I
momentum
just
that's
say
happening.
something?
Yeah.
Like, I definitely agree with what you're saying, but you need to remember that half the school is about to go home. Like,
Yeah.
So who's about to be here during the summer?
We-
It's the people who live in Olympia.
We
Like,
will.
I'm just saying, most of the black and brown people, they're not from here. We're going to be gone. We're not going to be around during the summer to do this work. So I'm concerned about whose voice is going to be heard during the summer.
So what I'm saying is, the people who should be paid to do this work, we need to figure out those people who are willing to stay. I'm willing to stay if that happens, and part of that process means that I will be in contact with the brown and black people who need to go home in order to make sure that they're being heard.
But
You know what I'm saying? It's
I feel like that's still bigger than you. It's bigger than
no,
you.
yeah.
Being
So
able
it's
to do that.
so it's not. It shouldn't just be me, clearly. But what I'm saying is, like, it's bigger than it's bigger than all of us.
Yeah.
I would like you
It's-
all to identify 3 or 4 students who will be here, who can be here, who choose to be here during the summer to work on this. And I promise you, there will be no vetting, no finalization of the conduct code until after it's been vetted by students in the fall.
Is that paid work?
Yes, it is.
I want to make sure.
I'm okay with that.
Are you sure?
I'm not comfortable with this group right here picking.
I agree. I agree with this though.
I would want to address that with the student body before we make that decision.
I agree.
We don't have to decide that. I mean, I'm in agreement with you guys there. So, one of the things I would like to say at 4 o'clock this afternoon is what we've agreed here right now.
Cool.
Are we okay with that?
Yeah.
Is there anyone oppose that idea?
Bonnie, Deborah.
Over the summer, how transparent is this process gonna be?
I think it should be very transparent.
Okay, tell me what transparent means to you.
We wanna see the process and documents. What are they dealing with?
Of course,
What is being talked about, who's in there?
of course.
Because if it's over the summer, I'm gonna be working.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be in Alaska.
Are you gonna be in here?
I'm gonna be in Alaska.
Okay.
So then at the 4 o'clock meeting, you're going to let people know that this is going to be happening, and then folks will have an opportunity to engage in that, like at this student next 4 o'clock meeting. They'll have opportunity to engage in that and then develop like a process in which that information can be transparent all through the summer.
Yep, and we can put it up on one, however it is, so it's accessible, not just or transparent, not just to people here, but people who don't have.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
VP has a website, can file a website for us.
I think it should be.
We'll figure it out. So when are you,
Sorry.
no, it's okay, when are you, I'm sorry, you the group, gonna discuss who the students are? How's that gonna occur?
We can do it at whatever next meeting we have.
I think the most people we'll ever have in a space is probably at 4 o'clock tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Are you comfortable with that? And we'll set aside time to listen to us if you're like.
Do you feel comfortable if we are present or absent in that
I think you guys need to
conversation?
be present.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all
You guys
can,
need to be present.
y'all can be present.
While you're deciding who the students are?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not as though we're gonna object, I just want you to feel comfortable doing that,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's fine.
we want you guys to be there.
okay? That's fine. Okay, so, that's item number 1.
Cool. Let's talk about defunding the police and police retaliation on campus. Because what happened today was fucking horrendous.
Can we, sorry, Isaiah, go ahead, I apologize.
No, you're okay.
I'm just saying my idea.
The fact that
You're like next one.
with only one narrative and one context, this cop charged at students, assaulted students, threw them to the side in order to get past these students to more students was disgusting. And it's on camera. And
Do we know what his motivation was? I don't know, I haven't spoken to him, I haven't heard anything about this other than.
y'all got his name? Who got
He
his
thought
name?
that the brown and black people
Tim Odell.
kidnapped Brett. Like we kidnapped Brett. We
How
were
did they get that
we were
information?
kidnapped. Do you think we want to kidnap Brett?
No. But tell me how that, well, you don't probably know how they got that information.
We don't know
Brennan,
how,
Okay, I think we're arguing a thing that we know as a pattern, like with police, Like, I mean, like, they don't need motive. Like, the point is they need less power to do
Right.
things. Like, what, I
It's the
mean, I don't
fact
care what
that-
his motive was.
So we
I
need
think, can I say something? I think the point is that everyone is there for the same cause. Everyone was doing the same thing. But the police deliberately pushed past white students to target people of color. We deliberately asked white students to be a barrier between the police because we know the relationship that black and brown people have with the police. They made an effort to push them out of the way to get to us when everyone was doing the same thing. So to me, that feels like targeting black and brown people. And you can't tell me that that's not targeting black people because we have the evidence on camera that they literally pushed white people out of the way to attack black and brown bodies.
Please send me that video.
I will.
Can I say something?
Yes.
So I was there. I spoke to Tim Odell.
Thank you.
He basically did not let us know what his motive, how he got the information to do so. His motive was to keep Brett safe. That's what they said. That was it. It was to keep Brett safe. He said, yes, I'm here to protect everyone, but in this case, somebody called 911 because Brett said he was unsafe.
And we, at that point, we weren't even, the situation was diffused. We weren't on the 3rd floor anymore. We were leaving the building, walking to Red Square, and then we get a police running after us as we're leaving.
We were trying to debrief.
I think this is all important, but it's also like, so, like they shouldn't be involved.
So, what I'm saying is, there needs to be a reevaluation of the way that police interact with students. Like, they should not be the first one called in a situation like this. And I don't care if you don't have the power to defund them, you need to find the power and figure out who has that power, because that is not okay. They do not need rifles, they do not need 5 holding cells on campus. Like, that is not going to happen, and I am not going to let that happen.
Yeah.
They're trying to.
Okay, so what I think I'm hearing you say,
Wendy, are you saying no, that's not true? Is that why you're shaking your head?
To my knowledge, we have 1 holding cell, and I don't have any knowledge of more being proposed. So if others have that information,
I still want them defunded. I don't,
well,
The
you wanna
police
change the conduct. You want them to change the conduct.
I want a defunding of the police. I don't want them to have pistols, and I don't like the way that they interact with students. So that's 3 different things I'm talking about.
I also think there needs to be very specific language about the ways they interact with people of color, because that's my big point. Like, I mean, they can have millions of dollars and still won't do the same damage to white bodies.
And also, the heightened presence on lower campus. Do you think I feel safe walking to my apartment, or my girlfriend feels safe that we have to walk and there's police patrolling us like we on some fucking prison? Like, that's not okay. I don't like that. Other black students don't like that. Oh, no. Black students don't like that.
So we're coming back,
Right,
we're
that's what-
coming back to changing the way our police staff works with students, works particularly with students of color.
Yes,
That's the bottom line,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay, and so the question then becomes, how do we do that? What are the action items we can announce today to do that? And I'm not sure I have action items right here, right now, that I can say, yep, it's gonna happen and it's gonna happen tomorrow.
I have a question. Are the police part of the equity plan on training on?
Yes, I believe they are. And certainly our plan, equity training for all campus employees.
So for the planned equity training, or, okay, cool,
That's my understanding.
okay.
And when does that start?
Well, it's already started.
They're already going, they're still at, oh.
It's already started. The training is already started.
What's that white woman saying? The police officer?
Stacy Brown?
No, the other one.
Andrew?
Garland.
Garland. She hasn't gotten no training.
I didn't say everyone had training. So that is part of the plan.
How is that even allowed for you to not know if the police officers that are carrying guns on this campus, how are you okay with saying you don't know whether they're trained or not? How is that okay?
And also, so
You
what?
got untrained, so you got people who you don't know are trained, whether they're trained or not, walking around with guns on their waistbands.
Okay, so one action plan that I'm interested in fleshing out some details about is, I mean, I'm interested in there being no police on campus, period, but we'll see if that is a thing that we can fight for. But more importantly, there needs to be some sort of process for students, and particularly students of color, to hold specific police officers accountable and see concrete evidence that they're being held accountable. We have enough evidence circulating on social media and shit, and reports being made that Garland is a piece of, and so why is she still here? If it's about our safety, and we have said that she makes us unsafe, then why is she still here? And I'm confused, and there needs to be some sort of language about making that
Process.
happen. Yeah.
About process and accountability?
Yes.
Excuse me, process and accountability.
Yes.
Wendy, what are the mechanisms we now have?
Well, the current mechanisms are to file a complaint with the chief and/or with me. And then there's an investigation and response to what's found in that investigation. So how could that be?
So that doesn't work, so what next?
Yeah, so
Well, I'm not sure that it's been used.
Oh, so here's
Hey, thank you. Thank you.
here's my big thing is that specifically with things like Andrew Siebert's job and with police forces and things like that, it's really important to understand that part of their job is just making us feel safe. And so for me, I think y'all are taking in evidence what racist thing did they say? That's the evidence that y'all are looking for, which is important evidence, and it's important to this process. But I think enough students saying this person makes me feel unsafe is enough evidence that they make us feel unsafe and can't do their job. And I think that needs to some language in that needs to be part of the process. I think looking for this specific they pulled out a gun at this point evidence erases the other ways in which they can't do their job.
I agree.
So the equity plan, because it sounds like everything that we have to talk about, y'all say that the equity plan includes it, and so there's 30 to 50 people that are involved with the equity plan in terms of that sit on that. Why are there not some sort of each faculty or administrator that sits on that equity plan? Why are they not running some sort of affinity groups with this actual multiple students? It doesn't also make sense to me that there's only a couple students that sit on there and are representing for the whole campus. Each of those people should be doing having their own groups with students to do police revision work or to do the VP system work. I don't know, to be looking at these policies and it should be so many more students than what y'all just threw on an equity plan.
Isn't thrown. There's a lot of folks on there, but I agree with you that we should be doing it. But here's the challenge. It's already complicated. Much of the work of the equity plan was being done on people's backs. That they're doing it above and beyond their existing jobs. They're doing it voluntarily. So not everyone's willing to volunteer for that. That's not to say we shouldn't have more students involved. That's not to say we shouldn't have more students running the college. The question is, how do we do this in a way that, I'm with you. How do we do it? To do the kinds of workshops and trainings and communications that you're asking for is a great idea. I want to do that. How are we going to get people to do this?
You just had hella students who showed up in a room voluntarily.
I'm all for doing it, but this is the equity plan work. That was 1.5 years worth of work. So if we can get students involved, I'm for it.
It's 1.5 years worth of work that isn't really working.
Well, primary goal of the equity plan was to build a strategy, a significant part of which is hiring the VP. That's the single biggest part.
But it's not working, so why isn't it working, and what do we do now that it's not working out the way that y'all planned it to, and it's not working fast enough, and still you have students super angry, since everything that we talk about relies on this diversity and equity plan? How are we fixing the diversity and equity plan then?
The next next step on that is to bring in the VP, the vice provost, vice president, and he or she will take the plan as it exists and work with students, faculty, and staff to change it, to improve it, to talk about next year. That was a one-year plan for this year. Some things worked, some things didn't.
So what's the VP's budget compared to how the budget that the police get out of that plan?
I don't know what the police officer, don't know what the police officer's budget. We started with a commitment.
Does anybody have?
People saying I don't know.
Because it's like it's significantly more than what the VP is getting.
I mean,
Could we, I think a few minutes ago, we were in this place of talking about how to work with police services. Jamil was advocating for improved training, procedures, protocols, understanding. Is there room there for a group of students to work with Stacy in that challenge, in that opportunity?
How do you feel about Stacy? What's that?
I mean, I don't know, the problem, I don't think the problem is we can't figure out a way to get students involved.
Oh,
The
I
fact-
can get
No,
students
I'm just
involved, but that's
speaking,
the.
I'm speaking to the administration because George just said they're having trouble trying to get students involved. The fact is that we don't have spaces to get involved. You guys don't allow us those spaces to get involved. So we had to create a space for ourselves last week. That's what happened. That's why we're having this whole big thing. So it's not a matter of who wants to get involved. It's, are y'all willing to listen to us talk? Are y'all willing to be uncomfortable? Because we're uncomfortable every day. When you guys sit here up in your ivory tower, nothing going wrong. You sitting here telling me you don't know whether your policemen are trained or not. Like,
excuse me.
yeah, I don't know. I don't have hope right now, and I don't feel like you guys are really trying to listen to what we're saying and like actually do some action. Because we can have workshops, and we already had cultural training workshops for faculty members, and we still got racist faculty members. I'm just saying, training doesn't work, workshops don't work, obviously. We got faculty members that are out here teaching a whole class saying trans women aren't really women, and they're still working here.
And so, and y'all are saying things like, these things aren't being reported, and I haven't gotten reports about it. So part of that is why aren't you getting reports about it? Why are the students Kiave, the ones who feel comfortable coming and reporting things to the students who are actually endangered, not the ones? What can y'all do to be part of that process? And I think we need to change the structure of this meeting in a way that's we're actually getting things done in this 4 hours. We've told people, we promised people that we're going to get things done. And so I think basically it needs to start, some of this labor needs to shift because a lot of this labor is on us right now. And I think what it needs to turn into is we say a thing that is going wrong, they figure out some shit, and we tell them no, that's anti-black, and they fix that shit and keep going. I think we need to stop performing our emotions for them in order to get them into action. They need to prove to us that they're going to go into action. So can we just start? So can we just start saying the things we need, and then they figure it out? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because student labor needs to be paid labor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're on police right now. What's the thing? What's the thing we need?
Y'all heard us talk.
So what I've heard is improved procedures and processes. I've also heard we want police off campus. To be honest with you, that is likely not going to happen. If we don't have our own police force, we will be seeking law enforcement help from OPD and Thurston County Sheriff. I don't think that benefits anybody on the campus. So the lens I bring is I want to work with the staff we have to provide the best service we can provide. And to respond to Jamil's point that this notion that only some people are making complaints and others are not, that's critical. That's not okay. It needs to be a place where anyone feels like they can make a complaint and be heard and understood and taken seriously. And I'm committed to that.
Stacey Brown submitted to that, and in this encouragement to, put forward a proposal and you can vote up or down. My idea is it would be helpful to have students and staff that would be willing to be in conversation with Stacey and help shape the work that police services does.
So then what are you gonna do to have students complain, and what happens when they do complain?
So when students complain,
We're not talking about the current structure, we're talking about how we're changing it.
What are you going to
in
do?
the future?
Yes.
Because we know about the current structure.
Outline.
Well, is it about how the complaints are made or how we process the complaint? Or how, where's the?
Both. There needs to be really clear transparency all the time.
And also not like, you guys were kind of lying in the email, like
No, they weren't.
pushing first false facts to the entire university, so you're kind of like manipulating the story and putting it, like changing it to what you want to be so that other people who aren't really aware of the situation can have this idea that you guys want them to have. So I'm concerned because I don't like the email that was sent out because there were explicitly things that were not true. So how are we supposed to trust the system of complaints being, put out through the university, but you're not even telling the full story, the true story?
So I think we're getting to a theme of trust at this point, and especially when it comes to police services, I mean, we clearly don't trust them, there's obvious reasons for that. And so I'm interested in hearing a conversation about how we establish trust first, because we're going to say all these words about how like reports are being transmitted and stuff, but if the reports aren't even being made because we don't trust y'all, then like, what's the point? So I'm interested in some conversation about how to limit some amount of trust between us and like what we can do to assure like black and brown students especially that like the report's not just gonna go to a police officer and we're gonna have to go to the police station at 1 o'clock in the morning and shit like that.
Seems to me that trust is built based on transparency and based on relationships. Can't go any other way. So then the question is, how do we increase transparency of the processes by which we manage, handle cases and complaints? That's gotta be transparent, right? So what are the mechanisms and steps we take to increase that transparency? And what are the steps and trainings that we offer police officers to ensure that they are much more sensitive to the issues that our students are facing, dealing with, and presenting right now? Those are the two issues. Yes?
Do the police have some type of like training they have to do, like at the start of each year? Do they have some type of like renewal? I don't know, like is there some type of system like that?
Yeah, I honestly can't speak to the details, but they do have training requirements, and I can't speak to the details.
Why is that?
I think first point is both of y'all need to know the details.
Yeah.
That's the first step, is y'all, in order to be transparent to us, which is part of the job, y'all need to know the things. So I think that's the first point. Is that what you were getting at?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what are the elements of the training we receive, and what do we need to do to improve that training?
Yeah.
And what are we doing to improve that training? Okay.
I think students should be a part of that training because we're the ones that
I
need to
agree.
be protected. So.
I interrupted you, I apologize.
Is there gonna
I agree,
be-
students should be involved in that training.
Are
But
there
they-
students that you think would be willing?
Yes.
That's the thing.
Absolutely.
That's what we're here.
I'm less hesitant to say yes to that.
I know there's somebody who's willing out of the 200 of us in that room.
Would we trust white people with that? Because I don't want to deal with the police.
It doesn't matter if they're white. I'm just talking about, I know there's a student, at least 50, who are willing to do this, who want to be a part of this action.
Yep.
Yeah, let's get to why we came together here. We came together here to come back at 4 o'clock with action items. What's the action item here? I'm confused about what I'm hearing.
I'm confused about why we're trying to come up with action items and not Wendy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're not getting paid as students to do your job right now.
No, we are. I made that clear.
Made that clear? Okay, good.
Yeah.
So I heard
Why is labor
action-
being put on us?
So tell us your action plans.
So I
and
heard action items around this piece of increased transparency and increased transparency of processes, improved training, students involved in that training, if students are willing and available. And I put forward the possibility of a group of people working with Stacy to think strategically about how to seek a culture shift in police services.
And how will you make that information available to all the students to participate in that?
how are people invited into the opportunity?
Like, how are you gonna facilitate this? I just want to make sure that like whatever plan you have, like I can hold you accountable to like following through with this plan that you're saying right now, like in next week.
What about giving us an equity center for students and paying us?
I would say that there needs to be somebody that, I don't like the idea of like Stacey Brown working with students because there's a power dynamic there, and I think there needs to be something to get rid of that power dynamic, is what I'm saying. I'm not sure what that is, but I want y'all to take note of that, figure out something. Because
I think maybe like an action we can ask for is like required training each year, like, I don't know, cultural training, whatever, but like required, like you guys need to renew that policy, whatever that means. And I think students should be a part of it, faculty members should be a part of it, whether there needs to be like a board discussion about it, I don't know, but I think there needs to be required training each year because each year the population changes, so.
I think what will really make the student body comfortable as well as this point is that if we have like really harsh firing is a big option for the police officers. Like I think it's really imperative for that job in particular that like if you fuck up, if you make students feel unsafe, like we can't have this like process really, like this long drawn out process. It needs to be like the job on campus where like you fuck up, it's a big fuck up, so like you need to go. And that needs to be like strongly worded and like strongly emphasized. It's like we can't just have a bunch of like we don't have time for like you to go through a training, you to forget your training, fuck up, make a bunch of students feel unsafe, have a reputation of making students feel unsafe, and then like you get more training? Like no, you're done now.
Yeah.
Like that process needs to be harsher.
I think those are
Specifically
two
for that
different
job.
actions though, like we need to focus on, like yes, firing is a whole other thing and like the procedure for firing.
I'm speaking about the theme of police officers at this point.
Yeah, I know, but I'm trying to focus on what action we can do for this, what other point we're talking about. And for me, I think that's like revamp training or whatever.
Cool, I think they noted that.
And we noted that, we noted transparency, we need to talk about what constitutes transparency, how do you want to see
Sorry,
this?
before we move on quickly, I just want to know what is the action, like what's going to be done? Like we can say, oh, we want more transparency. That's not an action.
You're
Like
right.
the other action that we have, what are we doing? I already forgot it, but that's like this, what we're talking about, that's not an action.
You're right. It
So
doesn't.
the way I'm thinking about it is if there are folks who can, be a task force or a work group to help think about how do we improve the reporting process, how do we improve transparency, because that means different things to different people, and so if we can't define it here today, can we have a work group that can help define it? And can that work group also identify and recommend the training that would be required annually?
I need y'all to say you're gonna require police officers to do something. I don't need you to say you're
Yeah.
gonna make a working group
Sure,
to talk.
yeah, I'm
We
not-
already made those groups ourselves and we're already talking about, we
Yeah.
know what we need for transparency. You
No,
need
no.
to have a better relationship with the students. You need to be more open with the students. You don't need to be sending secret emails to administration and teachers. That is what, and I think you guys know that. Like, we are tired of talking. Like, we can sit here and make these little working groups, talk about what this means and what this means and that, but I want action. Like, I want you guys to require something of the police force services. Like, something needs to be asked of them. I'm tired of y'all asking me to sit here and talk about what y'all know what we need. Y'all know why you're wrong. So I'm tired of the talking. Like, what are y'all gonna ask from the police force? Tell me what you're gonna require them to do.
So what I can commit to is requiring police officers to participate in implicit bias training and cultural competency training annually.
Held by
But you attended implicit bias training, turned around and sent that email.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying is there needs to be like harsher, like you fucked up now. Like we can say training all the times, we can have committees of students like giving the training, we can split the labor in whatever ways, but like, so the point is now you can like.
But we know they're not gonna fire them.
No, but what I'm saying is that needs to be a demand. Like we can't just say they're not gonna do a thing. We need to demand it. We're paying for this like whole thing.
So, action items.
Personally, I don't want to make demands because I just feel like I'm sick of demanding things from y'all. Y'all are white and in very high positions. And so I don't even feel like at this point I just want your permission to be granted. I want you to do something about it. That's like, it's that simple. You just need to commit to doing something.
What if we committed to immediate increased training for police officers beginning this summer? What about we talked about a process by which we increase transparency of the process by which actions are taken, recognizing that any actions taken against police officers are personnel actions and we cannot make those transparent, they are private. But what I'm hearing from Jamil and others is that you expect us to respond to actions by police officers and, for that matter, faculty and staff in a much more accountable way, in a much stricter way. Now, we have to do that in the context of state laws. And so there's a delicate balance to be struck between how we go about sanctioning people who violate the conduct codes of the college, who violate civil rights issues, and how we go about sanctioning them. We have to do it within the framework of state law. We will do that. But what I hope you're hearing from me just say, increased training beginning right now, increased transparency, seeking guidance from students, faculty, and staff on what it is that you want transparency, how we go about doing that, because people use different kinds of information. Transparency means one thing to one person and another to another, but I am committed to increasing transparency. You tell me what you want to see. I'll do my very best to make sure that happens. And number 3 is we need to find a way of increasing reporting of acts. I don't know how to do that, but I'm willing to get help and find ways about which we can do that.
That can result in necessary firing, right? That's what you said?
Sure.
Can you include that in there? Because there's some people that do need to be removed.
I can't promise you that I'm gonna remove everyone, or we're gonna remove anyone, but I can promise you that we will,
My point being is that, like, this is why the Andrea Siebert thing was important, is that, like, I can't promise that there's anything that y'all can do, even as far as transparency is concerned, that's gonna make any of the students who are already tired of Andrea Siebert report more things to a department that reports to her. And so, like, in that space, she can't do her job, you know what I mean? Like, and so, I don't know. So that's why firing or removal in some ways is a really important note to me. And we don't need to go into the specifics right now necessarily, but I think it's something that, I think it needs to be considered, can the person do their job? Like, it doesn't even need to be a personal thing. Like, I don't necessarily personally hate Andrea or anything. Like, she can't do her job, like, at this point. Not even because of her skill level, but because she's built a reputation of not supporting the students that she needs.
seems to me that could be incorporated into our revisions of the conduct process. Who's gonna do it, how's it gonna be done? I'm referring specifically to how is the conduct process being administered and by whom.
Okay.
All right,
How many of y'all were down there in that room?
in which room?
Downstairs, or upstairs with all the students?
Most of us.
So then y'all all heard what happened, so then can you just tell me what you're gonna do about it?
Because if not, like, that can turn into a lawsuit real quick. Like, we have enough people that can turn
I mean,
that
if
into a
y'all heard
lawsuit.
it, I just don't feel like we should still be discussing the same issues.
I want to discuss about faculty. I want to discuss your concerns about faculty. What I heard was a critique of one faculty member, Michael, and Elegant raised the critique of another faculty member. I want to specifically talk about those faculty members, privacy, personnel issue. On the other hand, I want to talk about mechanisms by which you hold faculty and staff accountable for actions that harm others. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, we're gonna sit in silence while y'all talk, since y'all already heard everything.
Deans, Ken, what are we gonna do about this? The students have expressed strong concerns about some faculty. Ken, I don't think you got a full chance to speak to the issues that you talked about. Could you talk a little bit more about actions that we have taken? And I can tell you that for the faculty members that you mentioned, I've spoken to them personally about it. That doesn't mean that the behavior's changed. So, Ken, Deans, help us out.
So, as I mentioned upstairs, we have a labor contract with our faculty that specifies, it's sort of like, it's a covenant. It's what are their responsibilities, what's administration's responsibilities. There's a section that talks about what we expect our faculty to do. And if they do not meet those expectations, there's another section that talks about progressive discipline. In order to move on any of these, we need to hear where the infractions are occurring. And in some cases, it does not reach the level of violating the contract, and therefore we have very limited authority, power over faculty. We can have conversations, and deans do this all the time. We review faculty, but in order to, and purposely so, in other words, faculty are given an incredible amount of autonomy here, but in order to raise the level of discipline, they have to do something fairly egregious.
So
If they
basically-
violate, so for example, the policies they can't violate. Any discrimination, that's grounds for discipline. Too. Civil rights violations, discipline. Title IX, discipline. Other things in terms of even not teaching well, although that's a little gray, can be addressed through discipline.
What is discipline?
What is discipline? So it's progressive discipline. So sort of like the student conduct code, it's very similar, where it may start out just being a conversation with the dean or the provost. It may go to a letter in their personnel file. If there is a pattern, then it can be discharged.
And suspension.
And suspension without pay, eventually discharged.
So you mean to tell me somebody who's been here for 15 years hasn't reached that point? And they can have anywhere from 25 to 75 students who are writing evaluations on them, and we haven't reached that point yet? For some of these people who've been here for 20 years to be gone?
Do you have someone specific in mind?
I have a lot of people in mind.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I wanted to ask. I just wanted to ask.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't asking if you give me names or anything like that.
So specifically, I'll talk about students' evaluations of faculty. All faculty are reviewed.
Okay.
When you're a new faculty, you're reviewed every year by a dean, your dean. And you come to the dean, you provide your portfolio that includes all of your evaluations of students, all of the students' evaluation of the faculty. If there's a pattern, the deans address that. Here's the problem. Students, because of the power differential, students are not always willing to write honest evaluations. And we recognize that, the deans recognize that. They're very adept at sort of reading between the lines and looking for problems. The other review process is most of our faculty are team teachers, and so their peers are also evaluating them, and they're evaluating their teacher. If we see a pattern that is identified either by the peers or by the students, it's addressed.
So where are we in firing people? Because for 15 years,
Mhm.
the faculty has been here
Mhm.
and just start sending these emails all of a sudden. That doesn't seem random to me at all.
I don't know if
It's too
this-
comfortable.
You haven't been a problem for all these years at all, not one time? Like, the process, I get the process.
Yeah.
I understand the process. And so I'm saying, shouldn't we be at the termination point? All the things you named off, right? The pattern is there, most definitely. We all see the pattern. Y'all see the pattern.
We'll also look at the students who would be like wet students though, and what they would report.
No.
That's part of the problem, is like, it can't just be the students like in that classroom.
Yeah, but there's more come on now, there's email, these people are in here trying to wrap y'all up.
No, so what I'm saying though is that there needs to be also like a way for us who aren't in that class to report those.
There is, there has been a lot of reports on these people already, so I'm saying, why aren't you at the point of termination? If you're telling me that's the process, and I know for a fact people have went through this entire process, why aren't you terminating them now? Because that's where you're at. You didn't have the pattern, you didn't discover the pattern, all that. What's next? Termination, out of your own mouth, you just said, so why aren't we there?
I have a question. I want us to take action. I want the deans to take action. The why question is important, but it's not gonna necessarily get us to action right now. I'm not criticizing raising the why question. Thank you. But I wanna know what we can do. And I'm talking to the deans, not to the students here. I'm talking to the deans and provosts and the other vice presidents. How are we gonna take action in ways where it's clear that there's, what more can we do and we will commit to doing right now, today?
Shamerica said at termination, like, we've had instructors who have had, like, them, like, they've done, like,
Okay, excuse me. I want us to decide this, and I want you to react. I
We're
don't want you
supposed to
to
be
propose. I don't want you to propose it. I don't want to put it on you. I want to put it on us. What are we gonna do?
So really quick, I have a suggestion, communications. Can you develop a place where students can submit honest, anonymous evaluations of faculty and name them? Is that something that you can develop?
Yes. And you know, in other public universities and colleges, students' evaluations of faculty are online, not individual, but aggregated. So that I can go look at Professor X, Professor Bridges, and I can see how students evaluated me on average. It's not a narrative evaluation, but it's a scale, and it's a basic critiques. That's common in other public institutions. I don't know if that's something that would work here. I think it's a way of sort of just spelling it out. Evaluations are anonymous, and they're publicized. Jamil.
I'm interested in letting y'all have that conversation that you're suggesting. I want to note, like, to add to all of this too, is that all this information that we're getting in this room is not information that a lot of people have gotten. And I think that needs to be part of the transparency process. That is that the day these freshmen walk on campus, they need to know that they can immediately do these reports, and they need to know how to do them, and they need to know that there's a way to follow through on them, and that follow through that there's been evidence of follow through happening in the past, so that it's worth it to them. And I think that needs to be part of this process. And then also there's been a request from the outside that Wendy or George or whoever can send an email to every student, sends an email about 4 o'clock, and it can be really brief. But all the students who weren't here and who haven't had access to hear about it deserve to know. And so, whatever process.
And let me just ask you a question, Jamil. I think what you're implying is it should not just be an email saying you met, it's an email saying you looked.
It's an email, well, no, an email before 4 saying that you should show up to hear about what, like, there's a space coming, yeah.
I'm not sure that would be. Okay, so we're talking action. Sarah?
Just on the topic of anonymous student evaluations online and things like that, there's a lot of discussion about the damage those things do to faculty of color, particularly women faculty of color, who tend to generate more because of student bias, right? And so when students have online depersonalized evaluations of faculty and they're not accountable, it often comes up that the numbers, right, you just score the raw numbers. The women faculty tend to get evaluated less well than male faculty. Faculty of color get evaluated less positively than white faculty. And so, though it looks neutral on its face, it might be a way that might not be advantageous to go. I'd rather suggest that, I guess, increased use of the civil rights complaint process on the part of students, and maybe some kind of maybe the new VP would play a role in listening to complaints about faculty, especially biased by faculty or biased actions. But anyway, that.
Sarah Ryan, evening and weekend dean.
But I'm also I taught labor studies in the evening and weekend program, and so all of these employee rights things can be used in both ways. So it's also important to remember that the same due process things that you're finding ends up protecting faculty who are biased also protect faculty color in the faculty who are generally more vulnerable.
So I'm Trevor Speller, I'm one of the curriculum deans. Sarah, I have a question for you because I think it's true that the student voice in when we as deans review faculty could be more powerful than it is. I understand that. I also think that there's room, I hear what you say about the scoring and the potential for bias in that scoring, but there is something about the confidentiality of student evaluations to me that's important. Because right now those student evaluations, right, we have some measure of confidentiality with faculty who can choose to see that evaluation after credits have been posted. I guess I'm wondering out loud if that level of confidentiality is sufficient, and then how we would get to a level of confidentiality where students feel like they can really kind of say what's on their mind at the end of the class, but not just at the end of the class, right?
Right.
While the class is going on.
Right.
Because if we as deans don't hear about that while the class is going on, then it's hard for us to act. If we're getting aggregate data at the end of the class, that's harder for us to act on, just with labor laws and contracting, than if we get information in the middle of a class. Even then it's hard, right? But at least we have more that we can do. So I would push, I mean, personally, I would push for confidential evaluations. I'm looking at my other deans to kind of see what they think. And to figure out a way that we can do that that's going to minimize bias. Perhaps scoring isn't right, perhaps narrative evaluations is the right, confidential narrative evaluations is the way to go. And to have that play a larger role in the faculty review process.
So deans and provost, Ken, are we willing to commit to increasing and ensuring greater confidentiality in student evaluations of faculty, and that those confidential evaluations will be made available to you and the reviews of faculty that you do? Are we willing to commit to that?
That would have to be negotiated. It's a contract issue too.
Has to be negotiated with the union.
Yes.
When we're in the middle of union negotiations,
Just
then,
starting.
are we willing to put that on the table as a union negotiating item, as an item to negotiate with the unions?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what if it doesn't work out? What if they reject it? How are we gonna hold faculty accountable for their actions? And this is faculty and staff, but faculty, we're talking about faculty now.
Is there anything y'all can do beyond the union at all? Like, any decision you make in this room has to go past the union?
Only, working conditions, wages, and,
Cool, okay.
so that's working conditions are cut.
And our contract is, you can read it on the whole thing in two places. You can go to EvergreenStateCollege21/provost, and faculty collective bargaining agreement is there. It's not that long. It's very well indexed. And it's also available on the union website, which is United Faculty of Evergreen. And you might want to have a talk with the union chair if you think some of the provisions that protect faculty are uphold inequities.
So I want to summarize what I've heard so far on this issue. If I'm getting it wrong, tell me, okay? One, communication with first-year students upon entering, all the different ways in which they can file grievances and complaints, and making sure they understand that these are their rights, their privileges, and our expectations, number one. Number two, examine and review the disciplinary process for faculty and staff with an expectation that we I'm going to back off on that because my notes are not clear. Improving the process by which student evaluations of faculty are occurred so it increases we increase confidentiality, while recognizing that we've got to put that before the union in our current negotiations. So it's a commitment to aggressively pursuing that as a bargaining item with the union, recognizing that the union may reject it. Okay. What's the third item? We talked about increasing transparency. Specifically transparency on which aspect of faculty work. Help me out, my notes are not very good here. We talked about increasing transparency of the process.
How many?
Others? What are we talking about? I've got two items that are fact.
I think we should, since we have students in the room, we should talk about our monthly meetings with the Student Affairs Group about making the process for appeals and grievances to the deans more transparent, both to support staff and to students. So that's actually something we're currently working on, and we're getting close to being ready to share. So I think that goes with your point, is it Shamerica? About why hasn't something happened now? And partly it's about accountability, it's partly about hearing and tracking so that there is this iterative step towards discipline. If that doesn't happen, if we don't know about it, we don't see a progression of concerns that have been dealt with previous deans and escalate, then we don't know about it. So how do we encourage students to come to our area and talk to us? I notice that there's a power dynamic there that feels uncomfortable. There's a power dynamic with faculty that feels uncomfortable. Is there some way, I'm saying this to the dean as much as you got here, is there some way that we can, not through necessarily the evaluative process, because you're saying that some of this stuff's not happening in the classroom, it's happening outside the classroom. So how do we invite students in more?
Yeah, I second that. That's a big concern of mine. Why students aren't coming to talk to us about these problems early on. Including what's been brewing the last couple of weeks. No one's come to the dean's area to talk to us about that, so.
Students know where to go.
Can I just say, yeah, we know where to go. Yeah, we know you're there, but we've gone to you and nothing's happened. That's why we stopped coming to you. Because we've complained over and over again. We've told you about professors saying the N-word in class, on videos of black people being lynched, laughing at strippers dressed in KKK masks. We've told you about this, but nothing has happened. So it's like, what's the point of us wasting our voices? Like, that's how we feel. It's just like, yeah, we know where to go, but you guys aren't helping us. So what are you going to do to change you guys, the way you guys practice what you do? Because that's the issue here. We keep coming to you over and over again, telling you what's wrong, and you guys put a Band-Aid over it. You don't even put a Band-Aid over it.
Part of it's hard for us to communicate back because if it's a personnel issue, we can't tell you what we did and how it turned out. Now, we don't necessarily know that we may have done something, and the faculty, from your perspective, it can change, but we don't know that. It's like it requires a continuing communication. If you come to us and complain, we deal with the faculty. We can't necessarily talk about that. We do what we can, but we hope that it works, but we may not hear whether it works, or we may assume it works because we haven't heard back again. So maybe, not to put more on you, but I think the process sometimes is a longer process than we'd all wish, but not to give up on us if you've complained and nothing's happened.
I'm wondering then, can we commit, so you brought up the fact that Student Affairs has been working with the deans to try to create this document. Can we commit to having that done by summer? So in fall, when we have a session, introducing students' rights and letting them know where they can go, that we can provide them with a document that's like, this is what you do and this is what you can expect?
I am very comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the document you're creating, since I don't know the details of it? And share it with our students?
Well, it started off as a frequently asked questions document because so many students would come in SAS and ask us, like, what happens when you go to the deans? I feel like I went to the deans, but nothing happened. And so we were like, we're not really sure. So we started to work with the deans and ask them, can we create something so students know what the process is? Because we don't even know what the process is, so how can we tell students what the process is? And so we've been meeting once a month for like the last I think we met 3 times, yeah. 3 or 4 times.
4 months.
On a document that's not finished yet, and there's still like a lot of things that need to be worked out, but it seems like it's on its way to being completed, and part of what's happening is that there aren't a lot of policies, so that's why there are no answers, is because we don't have any kind of clear structure set out, or it's like kind of in like the staff handbook or the faculty handbook or somewhere where students don't have any kind of access to it. So we're talking about how do we make that more transparent so that students can know what their rights are and what to expect from the deans when they do report something.
Are students working on that with you?
No, right now it is people from SAS and the deans.
Seems to me that we want to get students involved in evaluating that document.
Yeah.
How do we do that, folks? Okay, so we need student involvement in evaluating that document to make sure that it's responsive to the concerns that are being raised right here and have been raised on here. And we will commit to doing it. The question is, do we do it now? Do we do it over the summer? Do we do it in the fall? Do we do all of the above? Seems to me it won't be done until the summer. How do we get student feedback on it?
Well, let me just back up a minute and say, I think the intent for those meetings was to clarify what we do already. And I understand that, right, there's always room for improvement. We can fix that. I feel like the first step for us may be to write down what we do already, then invite the conversation with students to say, right, now that we can actually say on paper what it is that we're doing, how do we fix that? What do you think needs to be improved? But until we write it down, it will be hard for us to have that conversation, to invite students in. I don't know, am I thinking the right way on this?
So I was hearing Rashida say that there's going to be a document. It's going to be a document that would be done over the summer, finished over the summer, that would be made available to first-year students. A statement of policies and practices, right? Am I hearing everything correctly? How do we get student input on this, folks?
Some students are here during the summer.
Yeah.
Right, so I think it's something that we should have, focus group of students over the summer and work and clarify and be good to go.
Is this document clear enough? Does it explain the policies properly? And then longer term, I think what Trevor's saying is some of those would be things that maybe we need to look at. But,
right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of pissed because why is it that the head of student affairs is not fighting for students at all during this meeting? That makes no sense to me. You should be communicating about all these students with all these departments. And this just shows like the same lack of communication to students.
And you're interpreting my silence as not engaged or not caring, or?
Pretty much, you're not saying anything.
Yeah, I truly am listening, and I will say that Rashida and Jamie and others who've been engaged in these meetings, I've been very supportive of it. I have advocated in the time that I've been in this position that we have more clarity about how this work happens in the dean's area. So my silence is not intended to communicate lack of care. I'm listening to where the process is right now. I've been a strong advocate for this work.
We'll move to that. Can we move to that? We'll come up with more action plans.
Can I just really quickly add that all these student committees and adding students to like things and stuff, I think that's an important note. But I think we also need to be constantly keeping in mind the idea that like all of these things need to be living for like all the various students and various things that are happening. So just like keep in mind that for all these like documents and things that we're coming up with, there needs to be some sort of like annual or like regular process so that students can see and view and like add and change and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think what would be helpful for like that transparency you were talking about is like maybe a website, maybe through Evergreen's website or something, where it's like everything that Evergreen is doing. So it's like maybe what we heard from students, like what like we plan to do and like where we are now, or like what. So like for instance, this union thing, I'd love to be able to have a place to go. In the midst of all the other things that I have to do to see that like, okay, currently Evergreen is like negotiating that contract and like here are the documents to like prove or like to show transparency that like this is something that we're doing or it has been fixed or it has been revised in that way to where things are continuously updated because there's so many things happening on this campus that there is no center for like understanding pretty much everything and ways to see all that.
Question. Is putting it, as much of that as possible, on the website enough? Because people have to go to the website to learn it. It's not as though it's being pushed and directed to students. And one of the biggest issues that we have on this campus is poor communication. We do not communicate well internally. And I'll own my share of that. And the question then becomes, how do we reach students? How do we reach staff who may not go to the website? And I'm all for putting it all up as much as we can. I'm all for that. Challenge is, that may not be enough. that may not be enough in terms of reaching students.
I mean, that's student affairs job and communications. They should be collaborating on that.
Seems like it's everyone's job in the administration to communicate, right? Everyone's job. It's my job, it's Wendy's job, it's Ken's job. We need to improve our communication. And what I'm saying, and I'm not being critical, right, of your suggestion, I'm actually being supportive of it. The question is, how do we do more? That's not gonna be enough. And I'm not saying it's your problem, it's our problem. Our problem here. How do we communicate and reach people?
Have more meetings like this. Like, I don't know, like y'all asking me how to talk to people. Like, it just seems like a really dumb question. How do we communicate more with students? You communicate more with students. You send out emails. You have meetings with them. Like, I'm sorry, but like y'all asking questions that you really know the answers to. Like, stop asking us how we can communicate. Like, you know what, we're telling you what the issue is. We're communicating with you already. You need to figure out what you can do. Like, stop trying to figure out how to communicate and start trying to figure out how to do action, how to actually do something. It's like we just keep talking and like talking about how we're going to talk, and like nothing's happening. Like, we completely brushed over what we're going to do about the police thing. And training and stuff.
I don't think we did.
I think we did. We moved on to talking about faculty. We didn't sit down and say, okay, so what is the action for this issue? We just moved over into faculty.
I thought I was pretty clear about what
We didn't. I'm telling you, we just moved over into the faculty conversation. It drifted from the police, and somehow we started talking about faculty. Actually, because Wendy, you said something about doing something blah 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 faculty, but yeah, like we're not even sitting here talking about action. Like, we keep talking like.
When you say action, what do you want that phrase to say? Like?
I want them to say, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to ask of people. This is what we're going to require. This is when this is going to happen. Not, we're going to do this. I want to know, when is it going to happen? Not, oh, we're going to just implement this somehow. Like, when? When are you going to do it? Who's going to be responsible? How are you going to contact students and let them know that it's going on? Like, I'm tired, like, you can communicate with us by emailing us, by calling us, by having meetings like this more frequently. Like, that's it. Don't ask us how to communicate anymore.
Right. I'm for that.
Speaking of communication, will you consider putting or sending an email to our students about this discussion we're having in the library?
I already agreed to do
You
that.
already? Okay.
So Zach left to work on that.
Cool.
That's what he's doing.
Thank you.
All right. I thought we had come to some conclusions about the police. Maybe
I think
I misunderstood.
I think we need a little bit more solid like timeline stuff in there, like language of like, okay, so this is when, this is who's doing it. I think that would make us feel.
Okay, let's go back to what we were talking about regarding the police.
Why isn't Stacy down?
Because she doesn't want to be. She got to tell her bosses no. Isn't that interesting?
I believe what we agreed was that she would show up at 4 o'clock. That's what we agreed to.
She would show up when?
Show up at a 4 o'clock meeting.
Okay.
I believe that's what we agreed to, and I have not talked with her or communicated with her since then. That's my understanding. Didn't we agree to that?
That she's going to come at the 4 o'clock. I wouldn't know. You were over there with the other students. I was coordinating people coming out.
Is she here on campus?
No,
She was on campus. She had to go change.
It takes a 4 hours to change.
Just a few minutes for her to get her.
So I want to talk about the police. What do we agree to do? Specific. When are we going to talk about improved training? I thought I said very explicitly.
Y'all got the budget.
Right. I thought I said.
I'm just asking. I know what you thought you said, but now I'm just asking.
Notorious for having departments sending devices, but then when it's conflict resolution, it's everybody's thing, so that way nobody has to be held accountable.
I also just think that I'm confused about whose job it is. So like, no one's communicating. Someone's not communicating something. Okay, well then that should be you then.
Whose job is it?
We focus on the police. That's that issue.
Whose job is the police? This administration.
My understanding is what we agreed to do somewhere, and where they help me out, is we agreed that we would begin to increase the training on the trend that we've sought immediately this summer.
Okay, and who is going to be in charge of that training?
Wendy will oversee it.
I'm not comfortable with that. I need a diverse population holding this training, because the people who are being policed on this campus don't look like y'all.
I believe we talked about having students involved in the training.
Yeah, and I also would like an organization, like I want y'all to Google some shit, like y'all can Google and research. I know some organizations out there led by adults who are teaching about police brutality. So y'all need to go look out some other organizations or institutions who are already doing this type of work and learn from them. Because you don't have the capability to do it.
Yeah, I didn't need to, I wouldn't say that we would provide the training, but that I would work with Stacy to ensure that it happened. Clarity about exactly who provides the training and the content areas, knowledge, skill, awareness areas. What I think we said earlier was implicit bias and cultural competency. But are there others that we want to be specific about right now?
Brutality.
You said implicit bias, cultural competency, sexual assault, trans issues, what are ones that I'm missing? Disability and ability levels. I think the sexual assault one is a really important one to highlight. I think the school has honestly failed in that, in every arena.
I think it should be talked about too, whether or not, like, with the larger group of students, is like people are requesting that the police be defunded, and this would only result in them getting more funding, training. And so that, I think that maybe something I'd like to propose is like the possibility of private funding, like that y'all have to raise, and for that not to be coming out of the pockets of like any sort of student budgets or something.
Thank you for that recommendation. I will consider it. I don't know if there's private money out there for it, but I love private money. It doesn't come out of tuition dollars, doesn't come out of state dollars.
I want to add on the police note that I really think, and this would be a hard one, and I understand that, but I really think part of the accessibility process is that health and wellness can't be next door to police services.
Yeah.
It can't be.
Can I address that? Can I talk about that? I have a proposal in the legislature to build a whole new health center that will be independent, standalone for police.
Cool.
I don't know if it will be funded. I've been pushing very hard in the legislature to have that happen. I have my fingers and toes crossed. I can't guarantee it. I like the idea that you mentioned.
Yeah, I don't need that necessarily to be a no, but I think it has to be something on everyone's mind. I don't think like freshman residents and people in housing feel that health and wellness is accessible. And there's been a huge problem with like people suffering from like health issues in the freshman housing and stuff, this like recent stuff, and like a lot of them don't want to go to that space, so like we're serving the students.
I feel like another aspect of this whole conversation around training is student engagement. And I feel like that's something we haven't really brought up. I feel like we're talking on the outskirts of that conversation. But simply the way that you show up and interact with students is what your job is. And if you, like, I'm just thinking about what happened this morning and the fact that, what is his name? Odell ran up to the students and started pushing them. When all you could have simply said was, hey, are you holding the teacher hostage? We could have said, no, you could have went about your day. That's not what you did first. You ran up to them, started pushing students until the students told you, like, why are you pushing me? We don't have anybody held hostage. And as Stacy ran into the room to go make sure he was there, you're still pushing while she's gone all the way till she comes back. Like, what is going to be the actions that are going to be taking place? Training is not going to do anything for right now. We still got a month left of school. Right. So what's going to happen between now and then? Because I know how fight or flight works, and I know how trauma works. And the fact that he got his ass whooped in Red Square, and then, come on now, we're being transparent with each other, right? Yeah. So, of course, you go, and now you show up to a whole group of students, your fight or flight been kicked in, you got your ass whooped last year, students was cheering the person on, all of that goes on in your head, all of that. So what's gonna happen between then and now? That's not how you show up with students. You do not run up to students and assume anything. That's traumatizing for everybody. And so what's going to happen now to the student body and as far as our relationship with police? Because, come on now, you ran up to me and just pushed me for what? Because somebody called you and told you a conversation?
Full-fledged running.
And you couldn't, ran as fast as you could and just ran into the students like you're playing football.
Never walked and said, "Hey, what's going on?" Full-fledged running.
Never did any assessment on their own.
No,
So
talk to no one.
gotta do an investigation. I've gotta do an investigation of him, what he was told. I have no idea what Brett Weinstein told the police when he called. That has to happen. We gotta figure that out. I'm not saying it was right, but I'm trying to understand and explain what happened, and I need to know what he was told and what the police were told, even if it was absolute lies.
Right. And so yes, we're on the same page, I feel. And so based on what you were told, this is why I'm going back to student engagement.
Got it.
Because if we're already student engaged, I would never run up to a student group and just start pushing them if you have already had student engagement. That's not how you conduct yourself.
So we're talking about training and student engagement. Is that what you're talking about, Shamarka?
Yes.
Intensive training and student engagement.
Exactly. In which way that police officers are supposed to engage with us. Running up to us with your hand on your gun, pushing us, all of that, when you could have easily said, "Hey, are y'all holding somebody hostage? No, okay, we're gonna go do our job elsewhere." That's not what you did.
So here's what I'm hearing and what I'm willing to commit to on behalf of the college. Number one, an intensive investigation of how this happened, why this happened, who told what. And secondly, intensive training beginning this summer. You raising your hand?
I'm letting you finish, but I'm going to say something afterwards.
Thank you.
Can you guys speak up a little bit, please?
I'm doing the best I can. My voice is going away.
There's a lot of...
I've had some, it's just the way in which my voice works. It doesn't work well. Intensive training, beginning training that looks at many issues. It talks about anti-bias training. It talks about, we're talking about a variety of issues that Janelle outlined with respect to sexual assault, with respect to disability issues or ability issues. We talked about student engagement issues. A wide range of training, and we're not going to do it internally. We're going to get someone from the outside who's a national expert or who is a recognized expert on this training, and we have to have students participating in the training process.
Not participating, being compensated.
I'm all for that. You know that.
Let's make that clear.
I'm all for that. Particularly if it's occurring with something, right? Okay. All right. Yes, I'm sorry, go on so long.
Okay. We just need to make sure that the investigation is unbiased and done by someone other than the president's office or police services. And also to have a person of color represented as well in that room. These are the concerns of students that are tuning in, and that is something that needs to be done per this investigation.
So could you repeat those right now so that I can write them?
Absolutely. We're going to make sure that the investigation is unbiased and done by someone.
Independent party.
Unbiased and done by someone other than the president's office or police services.
Should Lori be here?
Lori Naston?
Yeah. I'm just curious.
DK.
Okay.
Also, how are the police being trained to interact with undocumented students?
I think on that one we're pretty strong, but I don't want to go there right now. I can if you want. I mean, they have a very clear standard. They don't ask anyone about their citizenship status or any aspect related to immigration issues.
Okay.
And that's an internal policy that's given. It's also the Olympic Police policy, the state patrol policy, Thurston County Sheriff policy. No one's asking about citizenship status. That's just off limits.
And no collaboration with ICE?
No collaboration with ICE. None whatsoever. Should I mention that today, this afternoon? Is that something that?
It needs to be clarified.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is very helpful, people. I know it's hard. Thank you.
So where do y'all want to go? Because I have a point I want to make, but I want to make sure we're not derailing anyone. I just want to make the note that part of the reason why the email that was sent in response to recent events was of concern. Some people brought up like that they didn't want an apology from like this office because what does an apology do? My concern is that we've noticed an even heightened amount of like specifically anti-blackness and like racist acts and stuff after like the email and after like the responsibility of this office. And so I think there needs to be some point to like for like this office, not just you, George, yes you, but also like other people, to make very clear stances on where they stand and where the school is supposed to be standing. Because I think though an apology is whatever, I think we've like allowed for like a culture to crop up that was just waiting for any moment. And so I think there needs to be some sort of acts taken. I think there needs to be a stance taken in order to like remedy some of that. Does that work?
Yeah, and understanding that once again, here go black students having to defend themselves because you put us in danger. You did that. So I want you to really sit with that when you go home and you kiss your white kids. Remember that you did that to us again. After we went and told you that we needed your help, you turned around and in sick institution on us. You stuck us out in the cold.
Yeah, and it doesn't just affect students, it affects the faculty, it affected Chigo Ferguson, it affected people in housing, it affected Naima, it affected various students, it affected just Olympia culture in general. And there needs to be some sort of clear, transparent accountability about how this office and various offices on campus feel things.
Also, why was an email not sent out about Chico Henderson and Naimala's offices being vandalized?
Right.
It was reported.
Was there an email sent?
Yeah. No, I got an email. About
You got an email?
I got an email.
I heard in the email it said something about two documents and two documents.
I didn't get an email about this.
Trevor, did you want to say something about that?
No, I just, I know I saw the email from the Bias Incident Response Team, I think this morning about it, so that's why, that's all I was gonna put in, is that I think that's.
So were y'all clear with that, or that they were black faculty though? Like, that's very important that that was mentioned.
They
Yeah.
never use the word black.
I think y'all need to start using the word black.
Yeah, like, here's a conversation to have. POC should not be used in a way that homogenizes us, meaning like we're all a racist. Yeah, that like lumps all of our experiences together. If something happens specifically to like black faculty, black students, black people on campus, that needs to be made specific, because in the email we talked about with Wendy, using person of color when there was people of color and like there were non-black people of color and black people of color, that needs to be made specific, because that message is not being defined properly.
And I think that'll be part of the training that y'all all get, but I think that's an important note.
And just, I'm a member of the Bias Incident Response Team, but in this case I didn't compose the email. And I know that when those emails are sent out, right, the team is thinking about how to at once let the college community know that these things are happening, but also to respect the privacy of people who are involved in various ways. And so I can't speak to precisely why it was worded or framed in the way that it was, but I just, right, that's something that right, there's this balance of giving information and keeping people's information.
I think in
so,
well, I think yeah, that's what we did. But I think in this case, and this isn't necessarily new email either, but I think y'all should look into, like, if you're going to send an email about a situation, those people should be informed before the email goes out. Anyways, I was not informed when the email went out, and it listed me. Basically, it didn't say my name, but it listed me. And I would have told you if you had asked me, tell them I'm black, say my name, like shout it on the rooftops, like. And so I think there needs to be some process there that's like, if you're going to send an email about anyone anyways, you might as well talk to them and then ask how they want to be identified.
Sure.
Because they'll know like that if you're identifying me as black, that's going to do a thing for black people.
So what's the call to action, or what's the things that you have on your list right now?
What are y'all going to do from the fact that y'all just put us in more danger? I feel like we just skipped over the fact that I just said that. Y'all want me to repeat
That's
it?
true.
What are y'all gonna do about the fact that administration put black students in danger again.
We must change, and we must act upon the things we've discussed, of which we now have a list of 3 or 4 or 5 things immediately. We don't have a choice. I think what I'd like to do is put together that list, make sure it's clear, and then commit to acting upon it the moment the day ends, or the moment the day begins. I mean, the training that we're talking about, I'd have to go back on this. I have to say, I've got to go back and check my notes, what we've gone through. But that's what I'll commit to. And I think between all the people here, we've got a pretty robust list of action items. I think that's something we can commit to right now, right today. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be the only thing. Obviously, part of the work that we're talking about is going to be led as soon as we appoint a vice president, vice provost for equity and inclusion, so that work. But it's not just his or her work, it's our work. It's everyone's work here. And the reason we are hiring this person is to ensure that we have a guide and an expert who will look and have their eyes on this issue 24/7, 12 months a year. And we have the authority and the power and the resources to invoke change. And to help us change.
How when y'all can't even do it? Ken just sat over there and couldn't even answer my question.
I don't think, what didn't, I don't want to get into the details.
Oh, I
How,
can
the
get
how
into the
question, the how question.
Like,
You know, the equity council's got to be a part of that next year. It's got to.
equity is not a time limit. Equity does not start when somebody starts getting paid by institution. That's what I've been saying, and I've been to almost all these little meetings that we do, and all of y'all show up. You're not strangers to me. I know your faces very well, and I'm pretty sure you know mine. It's the same thing. What are you doing right now, today, this week, not next week, not summer training? You put us in danger the day you sent that email, and then waited an entire week. And if we didn't do what we did this morning, y'all would have went about y'all merry ass day. So what are you doing right now? I'm not talking about training. I'm talking about the fact that you put our lives in danger. Do you know how many black students and brown students live on this campus? In the woods, in the dark? While y'all at home, kissing kids, watching TV, cooking dinner?
Do you know how many black and brown students haven't been going to sleep, haven't been going to class, and have no way of being compensated for the pay that they're going to be losing, that they're not getting paid for, at doing the job that y'all need to be doing? There needs to be a thing.
We need to remind that we're in Olympia where white supremacy is at an all-time high, and y'all sent out an email that literally told all these white people, inviting them, told all these white people, hey, all these people of color are aggressors. This is exactly what the email says to them.
The labor we had to do to protect ourselves and to tell people that we needed protection, that's not being compensated in any way. That's not a job we've been paid for. That's a job y'all have been paid for.
Well, in response to Shamarika's question, what are you doing right now? We're sitting here right now developing solutions. And I'm willing and committed, this is everyone here, to enacting upon those solutions ASAP. That means the work we're doing is all of the things we've identified as action items, and there are others in the works, some of which I can talk about, some of which I can't talk about. And you will see. But I will commit to these, working on these, part of why we're, given this day, given this time, and thank you for bringing this to our attention. Thank you for screaming and shouting.
You're welcome.
I mean it.
And I mean it. From all the associates that have ever come before me, I really mean you are very welcome.
I know. And so that's the commitment. That's what we're doing right now. And at 4 o'clock, we will review these with the group, whoever shows up, and talk about the action we're now. And you, I believe, have a role in that meeting, apart from the obvious role of identifying students who are willing to participate in the steps we're going to take.
I also want to note that a lot of the students that are more visible on this campus, like Shamarika and I, have been receiving threats. I don't know if you're aware of this yet, but about this upcoming meeting, there's been threats about how we're going to be, we've been threatened about how we're going to be treated in the meeting. So I want,
Who's threatening?
Just various students. I'm getting reports constantly from everyone.
That they're feeling threatened?
No, that they are planning to do a thing to us in that space. Yeah, and so I just,
Real life.
yeah, this is, not, we're sitting here like, yeah,
Yeah.
y'all are like,
Okay,
y'all are like, what?
obviously, we have to make the space safe for everyone.
So, yeah, so what I'm getting at is, I don't consider making the space safe involving police, but I just need y'all to be aware of that, and I need y'all to be willing to be vocal in the space that actions like that are unacceptable.
We can't hear George.
Yeah, but yeah.
I'm sorry, I'll try to speak louder.
Is that coming live?
Yeah, it's coming live. Like folks can't hear.
Cool. So yeah, I just need y'all to be vocal in this space. That is unacceptable action, basically.
All right, is everybody in this room going to the meeting at 4?
Yes.
Okay.
Can we run through what those things are? Like the points that you're gonna say? Because I'm still confused on what they all are.
I would like to hear someone else speak to those points.
Yeah, me
Since
too.
my note are
George's
not-
voice is going out, so.
Who's got notes? Come on, no.
I thought they were the points that you were supposed to be saying at the front.
No, he's talking to them.
I'm losing my
The people who are
voice.
getting paid.
I'm losing
Oh,
my voice, and
no.
I just want someone else to speak from their notes about what we are committing to.
All the people wasn't taking notes.
So I can speak to the piece about academics from what I have in my notes. My notes on the rest of it are less precise. So I have here that academics will bring to the union some language and some ideas about how student evaluations can be more confidential. We committed to working on the policies with SAS, a document to clarify our policies and to include student involvement in the fall.
And the purpose of that is to bring to the attention of every student coming in the fall, knowing exactly what the policies they will have and what the mechanisms for redress they can get.
Yes, and so the last piece that I have here on is to communicate that process to first-year students when they arrive in the fall. Or actually, let me just
All
say,
students.
all students.
Communicate what process?
The deans and student affairs policy document that we just.
That Rashida and others are working on in conjunction with the academic side. Okay, that's the academics piece. Was there anything else on the academic piece in notes that people have that elaborate on those points or other points? Okay. What about the first issue that Jamil raised at the very beginning?
So that was the student conduct code?
Student conduct code. Thank you. So that's number 2, or student conduct code, and we agreed that we are in the process of revising the student conduct code, and that there would be a 2-step process to those revisions above and beyond what we've got now. Number 1, students would be, a subset of students would be hired this summer to work in collaboration with SAS and others involved in the student conduct code to make contributions that reflect their views on the process by which the conduct code occurs in order to improve and make it more responsive to the needs of students and the campus community. And that secondly, we agreed that the finished product, whatever it is, at the end of the summer would be made available to all students to review, to comment on, to make contributions to in the fall.
I'd like to add 2 things. Some wording that's like, and after that final vote is like made for this version, that there is language about there can be changes made consistently.
It's a living document.
Yeah, just language about that. And then also clarification at some point, we don't need to do this right in this moment, but clarification at some point about like how many we want, so when we go into that room, we can be like, okay, here's how many we need to get. And
How many students we want to participate.
Yeah, and like what, like how many hours a week and that kind of thing, just so we can clarify to people like how accessible it is. And we don't need to do that right in this moment necessarily, but we should do it before 4. just so that when we ask people, we're not just being like, you could be coming to the school 40 hours a week, or like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't even need to be specifics, because maybe we need to flesh out the specifics, but just like, this is like a 2 hour week job that you come sometimes, or this is like a full-time job that you need to be committing to.
Yeah, okay.
And there's compensation at the labor.
Yeah,
Compensation.
definitely, exactly, yeah.
Okay, what else on the student conduct process did we talk about? Do you want to do that? Yeah, summarize it? Okay, any other comments on that? Okay, what did we talk about regarding police services? Let's go over police services. We talked about immediate, right? We talked about jumping on training, which cuts across many different dimensions of interactions with students, faculty, and staff. Certainly, I think one of the issues that Shamaric and others rose was training that focused on student engagement. That's piece number one. Piece number two is that students would be involved in that training in some meaningful capacity and would have a voice in the training. And that I think Andrea raised the point that it would be for compensation that would occur, the training would occur annually. I heard that from a student, and she isn't here right now, that there would be an ongoing training process. That there would be an increased transparency in actions that we're taking with respect to training the police and making their policies and practices available to the campus community. And then what else do we have for students?
The ways that they're funded?
Yes.
Yeah, the funding.
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry. Which one? Who's spoke?
Oh, the ways that they're funded?
The ways that the police are funded.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Can we also look into some language about like either completely disarming them, or in some ways reducing like guns in some way, some amount of like that.
And not resupplying them with more guns.
Right. Here's my understanding about the gun thing.
Mhm.
I'm gonna call it the gun thing.
Yeah.
As commissioned officers in the state of Washington, they are required by law to be armed.
Mhm.
So I don't think we're gonna get rid of guns, that's not gonna work.
Designate gun-free zones then.
Say what?
Designate gun-free zones for police on campus.
Does armed mean guns, or can it mean?
No, it means guns.
Okay.
I will revisit that to make sure I'm correct.
Mm.
I will revisit that. I don't think we're gonna do gun-free zones.
Why is that?
Because it's like, where are the crime-free zones on campus? There aren't any, right? And if there are no crime-free zones, then the police are gonna argue for no gun-free zones.
Then what are the spaces, what are the zones where students are gonna be able to feel comfortable if police have guns? That's what I'm wondering too.
I'm wondering that too.
As long as, in this case, based on time, as long as you're committing to doing effort to look into ways to doing that and fighting for us, and as far as that's concerned, we can move.
And not giving them more guns.
Oh,
Right,
in
yeah.
anything that's like trying to arm them and make them more like armed needs to be shut down. We've heard rumors that there's an attempt to.
It's not a rumor, it's real.
There's
They know it's real.
been a constant request for, they're the only police force in the state of Washington on college campuses that doesn't have rifles.
Oh, hell no. Yeah.
Also, this comes from the students about they would like Officer Odell suspended.
Immediately.
Immediately, without fun.
That will, we'll have to do an investigation of that. I can't commit to suspending anyone without an investigation. We need to know what he heard, what he was told by his supervisors, what information came in. I can't commit that to you now, and I can't commit it to the students at 4 o'clock. I can commit to an investigation.
Can I say something on that note?
Please.
Because I think it's really, really important. There's several people who we want suspended, fired, yada, 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 and we keep circling around this thing of like, we can't do it, and and contracts and stuff. Sure, but I think there needs to be an accessible way that we can handle like these current ones like now. And basically what I'm getting at is like people, like my grandmother and I and several people have labored to try to figure out like, how do we get like the scoop narrative going, and how do we like, who do we talk to, and yada, yada, yada. And we keep being told different people's names and stuff. And I think that we need y'all to be willing to do some of the labor to like sit with us, and we have like people come and just like and give their statements like with y'all, and y'all set a fire on the investigation, because like we want all these people investigated, and so we keep having to do the labor to educate students on how they're supposed to do that and when they're supposed to do that and why they're supposed to do that and why it's not happening and stuff. And we need y'all to take more initiative more initiative and time to set aside to doing some of that process.
What about the process we have in place regarding the civil rights awards? Have students, can we not invoke that process? Lori Nasty.
What does that do? I went through that process and Evergreen still turned around and was like, yeah, so thanks for waiting a year and a half of your time. We can't tell you anything about what the disciplinary action is. All we can tell you is that this person still works here, but thank you for using your time.
And the person that I think most students want fired is Andrea, and supposedly there's been 3 civil suits so far that I've heard about opened against her, and she's still here. So we need more reassurance that
But the entire campus can open one against R.N. Lawrence and have a whole case.
no, because they're black transgender people. We know.
Well, it sounds like, from your perspective, Shamira, that the civil rights process is too slow and not responsive.
Well, no, Lori's doing a wonderful job. It's y'all. Because all she's supposed to do is write the report. It's y'all that make the decision. And y'all keep making the decision to keep these people here, and so I'm wondering why.
I think we're going to be handling on a case-by-case basis, but I accept.
Well, I haven't seen nobody get fired since I've been here in 3 years.
No, they didn't.
The only person I know that's been let go is the provost. And even that person got paid to leave, so.
Other actions have occurred. You just don't know about it.
Ain't nobody been fired though.
That's what we mean by transparency.
That's not true.
You're telling us
They
stuff
haven't?
has happened and we don't even see. How are we gonna know? You guys need to let us know that our words mean something.
I agree, we have to do the best job we can. I can't go by listing the number of people here who have been fired. I cannot do that by law.
We're not asking you to do that, and I think you know we're not asking you to do that.
No, I don't.
We're not asking you to list the names of faculty members who got fired. We're asking you to do something about the faculty members that are still here.
That, I hear you. Okay, I think we've given you some information on police. Now, we've got faculty, we've got police, we've got the conduct code. I just heard that some of you have objections about the whole notion of the Bill of Rights for students. And I'm not sure what to call that, but I think the students should be told when they come to campus, here are your rights as students.
But I think that goes back to Rain's point, and Rain has made this this argument that if you say here are your rights, then that erases any other rights that aren't listed there. And that point has been made consistently by Rain. So
I mean, this country was built on the Bill of Rights, and it's bullshit. So why are we trying to implement that here?
Well, students don't know what their rights and privileges are as being members of this community. They don't know whether something's wrong or right, or whether it's the way things always are, or whether it's things that can change. So I'm not interested in excluding privileges of students. I just want them to be informed. I want them to be informed about what they can do to change the institution or to get their complaints heard. That's my intention.
But also, I feel like students are quickly told when they're doing something wrong, but not told what they can do. Like, I feel like y'all are quick to speak up if you don't like something that we're doing, and we didn't realize that it was something that was wrong. But where is the voice telling us what we do have the right to do?
Okay. Okay.
So maybe it's not a Bill of Rights, maybe it's just, these are your rights as a student at Evergreen. This is who you can go to, this is what you can expect to be done.
Is that gonna be in your document that we talked about earlier?
I mean, that document is pretty specific to SAS and the dean, so that doesn't really cover what everybody's talking about here. It's a way bigger issue than that, but I mean, a piece of that is included.
What I heard was a request that at orientation in the fall, that all the new students get a pretty thorough access to the complaint procedures and what they should, the places for them to raise issues. So all the various.
And students, we kind of have an understanding of what our rights are because we're constantly telling you what you can't do to us.
Right.
And you're constantly silencing us when we voice that. So we know what our rights are. Like, we understand what y'all can't do, like send an officer in to push us without even just asking us what's going on. Like that feels like something that shouldn't be happening to me. My question is, what are you going to do in response to what we're telling you? I mean, a lot of this stuff is civil rights. Y'all breaking our civil rights. I mean, y'all breaking laws and rules and regulations. It's bigger than just Evergreen. Y'all doing some shit that's on a whole new level here. So let's stop pretending like we're not talking about that, because that's what we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? We know what y'all can't do to us. It's just the fact that y'all.
Especially considering Evergreen is a public institution. Just because we're surrounded by all these trees, we have to drive through the woods and walk through the woods to actually get on campus. Doesn't mean that other people don't know what's going on and that this stuff doesn't carry on outside of this greenery surrounding us.
I just want to ask a question. Sorry if this is off topic. When these complaints, because I'm just confused, what's the point of a complaint system if no one's being held accountable for the complaint or punished for the complaint? Like, whose desk is the complaint going on and they're reading it and decide? Because you have to have a decision. The person that the complaint goes to, they're expected to make a decision based on that complaint. And that decision that I've seen is just being swept under the rug. Let's sweep it under the rug. Let's sweep it under the rug. So what is happening when you guys get that complaint on your desk? What are your options? Who is it going to? And how do you make that decision?
Typically, when there's a complaint, I'm going to answer it in shorthand, and I'll just pitch in, tell you how I view the process. Typically, if there's a civil rights complaint filed, or if there's a complaint filed via the student conduct code, there's a process by which an investigation occurs, a recommendation is made, typically to the vice president if it's a staff member or a faculty member. In the case of a faculty member, we put in the provost for action. In this case of the vice president, say for example, the vice president for student affairs, for advancement, for facilities and grounds, and for willingness. Let's just stick with those. Vice president goes to them for action. In some cases, there's a recommended action. In some cases, there isn't. It depends upon the outcome, depends upon what the investigation finds. So the vehicle, I think I'm answering your question, I'm trying to.
Yeah, you are.
The vehicle is, and so then the responsibility for what action is taken rests in the hands of the vice presidents or the vice provost, or the provost.
I guess I'm just confused as to why you're telling me that and not the vice president. Like, why isn't the vice president speaking up and saying, this is what I do? Like, you're sitting right there and you're not saying anything. This is, like, your job description, what I just said, is you're the one who's getting the complaints and you're not telling me what you do when you get the complaints.
Who are you speaking to?
When I'm speaking to the vice president, whoever's in charge of it, I'm tired of speaking to one person because you keep telling me you don't know what's going on, and then when I'm asking to speak to other people, you speaking for the other people. Like, I want to know, what do you do when you get the complaints that you're getting complaints that people don't feel safe, they feel threatened? What are you doing? Because I feel like every time you get something, you target the people of color. You send out an email saying people of color are doing this, but you're not talking about the white students that standing outside their windows threatening them. So what are you doing?
So with respect to that particular situation, and this is an example of how I would take any situation like that, is we're gathering more information. So there's people are talking with the students who were engaged in the exchange by the residence halls. People are talking with the students involved in the exchange at the greenery. And we're trying to determine impartiality. What transpired? Was any action on any of the parties involved a violation of the conduct code?
Do you,
So since you failed at that, what happens?
It's not done yet.
Do you-
Done.
Do you see how it's a little irresponsible though to have sent out an email without the process being done there?
That's what I said, you just failed at that, so.
So I apologize for that email. Boy, if I could.
I want you to actually do that later at 4 p.m. in an email.
I'm on board. Cool. And I want that, I am really leery, I will tell you, I'm really leery of sending another email because that email was too much too soon and it had content in it that was impactful.
And not true. I want you to say that it wasn't true.
And what I want in order to send hopefully a better email
and a more truthful email
is a conversation with people so that I can really understand what the missteps were and so that I can acknowledge those to folks' satisfaction. I don't wanna do it in isolation. If I wrote an email in isolation, it would cause more harm.
I am also wondering, just this whole setup that we got right now, like all the administrative people, excluding Sheeta, is white, as I can see, and I'm wondering if we need all y'all here, cause I only see 2 people with notebooks out right now, so I got a lot of white people staring at me that they're just staring at me to be staring at me, so do y'all need to be here?
I mean,
Yes, you.
I think they need to be being here, but they need to be doing
Yeah,
more.
if you're here, show that you wanna be here and that you care about what we're saying, cause right now, y'all just looking at me.
Also, why is there only white people?
You got a notebook.
Let's reassess that.
Introductions? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it should have been done an hour ago.
I'm Scott Coleman, I'm one of the curriculum deans. I'm very interested in hearing. Scott Coleman, one of the curriculum deans, I'm an academic dean. Yeah, I'm here because I want to understand more what's going on. Like I said, I think one of the things that's not working well on campus is people who don't come into the deanery with their concerns as
Maybe
much.
because they don't feel safe to.
Yeah, and I'm learning that that's the case, so.
I'm still looking at y'all two with notebooks in front of you. I don't know why, George asked earlier if people could repeat back
And they
what
can't,
we
so that
wanted,
means
and
y'all ain't
nobody
listening.
could because y'all notebooks are
Trevor
closed.
hit the 3 points that I had written down, so I was satisfied with that.
I'm Ken Cabot, I'm the interim provost, so I'm in charge of the academic division. So anything that has to do with academic programs, teaching and learning.
What's your name again?
Ken Cabot.
Ken?
Ken.
Ken, can you open your notebook and take notes?
It's an iPad.
Huh?
It's an iPad.
Could you open it and take notes, please?
I'm here to listen, but the deans are taking notes. We work as a team.
Oh,
I work with, I'm the vice president and the deans are right under me.
Oh.
And they're the ones who,
So they
Things easily get
they
lost.
write it down for you. They're the secretaries basically, and you'll just read the notes.
Things easily can get lost in translation when you try to think about this meeting later. That's what teachers tell us in class.
Right,
The
that's why
active
we gotta
take
take notes.
So people are talking.
What we're requesting is that y'all seem and act more engaged, and so just note that we should keep going there.
I'm Stacey Brown, Chief of Police.
I'm Trevor Speller, I'm one of the academic deans also.
Wendy Andrus, the Vice President for Student Affairs.
I'm Sarah Ryan, I'm the academic dean for evening and weekend studies, and I also listen.
Do folks in back?
Yeah. John Early, Vice President of Finance and Administration, and Laura Gaston works in my division.
Oh, okay, you HR.
Yes.
Okay.
Cool.
Peter McAdam, Budget Dean.
Okay.
Greg Mullins, I'm Library Dean.
Do we have anybody here representing parking services?
That's Wendy.
I just want to say I'm really happy to be here as well. I'm here with Sam Amanda Walker, I'm the Vice President for Advancement. So Advancement is fundraising and alumni relations. I have a lot of notes.
Chief of Staff.
Of course. No, you got a lot more titles than that on your window.
Yeah, I also serve as the Secretary of the Board.
That's important.
It's another one. What's the third line? What's the third line? I saw it.
That's it.
Okay.
Unless somebody had something else.
Other introductions?
Yeah, who are we, students?
So I'm Isaiah Montejano. I work as a peer, multicultural peer advisor for Jewish People's Multicultural Services. Currently the coordinator of MECHA, and I'm a student.
I'm Jamil. I'm a Black trans body on this campus. I feel a lot of responsibility just by the nature of my positionality in this world to do a lot of emotional labor for all of y'all and the students involved. And it's been really, really draining, but I'm still in this room and still fighting for the people we fought for. And I'm interested in this conversation going in a way that can actually protect people.
I'm Shamika Scott, and I do a bunch of stuff. And one of those things that I do is I advocate for students, and I fight administration. and I will be very happy to graduate, so I don't have to see y'all no more. And y'all don't got to see me, so we'll both celebrate.
Not me.
You gonna be sad? Say it on camera.
I am gonna be sad to see you.
And I work for Trio Student Success, and I also work in the Queer and Trans Center.
And also the owner of Braids and Faves.
Okay.
Any black people that need to know where to get their hair?
My name is Tepualani Balaunga. I work for the CRC. I'm one of the operations lead, and I'm also a junior here at Evergreen.
I'm Rain.
Enough said.
Aloha mai ka kou wau o Mahealani Haupu Nui ma Kiekie ko inoa. Hello, my name is Mahealani Haupu Nui ma Kiekie. I am a equity peer advisor for First Peoples. I am also a peer advisor for the Trans and Queer Center. I am a student here, first generation, and I am a Kanaka Maoli that is here to represent for the people that don't have voices, and that is our Pacific Island people. So.
Preach.
I'm Lara Raphael Finlock, and I'm a new student here at Evergreen. Representing my people.
My name is Johnny 3. I'm a Black student. This is my 3rd year here. This is my 1st year experiencing all of this. And I'm grateful for this experience, but I'm also really upset that I'm still talking about this.
My name is Taylor Forsyth. This is my 1st quarter at Evergreen. I came from Maryland. I used to live in New Zealand, so I'm used to the weather and I'm used to the white people. I haven't attended class in a couple weeks. I have been losing sleep over this. I feel unsafe on campus, and I want this resolved today. And I came here for my education. I'm passionate about my education. I'm passionate about the interdisciplinary studies that Evergreen has here. As a Black person, I can't distance myself from my own identity enough to even immerse myself in my education, which is what I am here to do. So yes.
My name is Kadeja Sparkle Princess Perry. I am a Black woman student at this college. This is my 3rd year here, and I'm graduating, and I'm going to be student speaker at graduation. Actually, I'll see you at brunch, 11 a.m. Yes. Even though I'm graduating, when I walk that stage, that won't be the last time that I'm on campus. I am a film student here, and I'm currently in the works of concepting out a few documentaries unearthing things like this that go on at Evergreen, as well, not just racial discrimination, but ableism, really just everything this institution has been sweeping under the rugs since I've been here and before, and probably will be in the future. So yeah, get ready for me to burn this place to the ground. I've got a lot of matches and I'm ready.
I'm Deborah, it's not Deborah, it's Deborah. I'm born in the Philippines, moved to Alaska, so please respect that, that's where I come from. I'm a 1st generation college student. I work with the Writing Center to help with fellow students on their writing. I work with Trio as an intern with America, and I work as a student researcher on faculty teaching practice with Student Voices Matter, and I hope that this research will gonna come through and hopefully advocate for students on their education here at Evergreen. If we promote that Evergreen is a collaborative interdisciplinary education for progressive liberal arts, it's not to that point yet, and I hope to voice that out.
Ew.
Dr. Love.
My name is Sheila. I'm Director of First Peoples Multicultural Advising Services. I've worked at the college 9 years now, and I stay at this college because I do think it has a lot to offer, specifically students of color. And I'm here because y'all asked me to be here as well.
Thank you.
I
think we should get paid double time for this.
Absolutely.
I agree.
It's a lot of work.
I think we should get a promotion.
Also, the email should take over.
What happened?
I said I also believe her email should be changed to lover.
Okay, let's.
Only Rashid. Where are we?
So there's gonna definitely be an investigation launched on Officer Odell, and that'll be announced at 4. Okay.
Yep,
Is it?
and it will involve inevitably personal information and therefore remain confidential.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Oh, can I just say really quick, one of the things that felt like was left out, when we go back in the room, one of the things that people said right from the start is to make sure that there were no charges to students about the situation that happened today. You might want to be open with that, I think, because that's on a lot of people's minds.
I thought I did what I was saying, or whoever was speaking, I was saying.
And also, I'm wondering, because I'm thinking about just the language of everything, you know, incident, bias report. Is it at all possible that we call these what they are when they're written on documents as alleged hate crimes? Because they're targeting students of color and making students of color feel unsafe. And I feel like that is a hate crime.
Yeah.
I've asked that, thank you for raising that. I've actually asked the Attorney General whether some of these actions, I'm not talking about the specific ones here we're discussing today, are hate crimes. And there's a very narrow legal definition of hate crimes, probably some of them are and some of them aren't. So I'm not a lawyer. I'm not opposed to your idea. I want to make sure that if we're going to call something, even an alleged hate crime, that we have a correct legal definition, because the documents that we have, as we know, are legal documents. Public documents, we have to be careful about that. That's what I'm suggesting.
So I would like, as far as accessibility to students is concerned, you can do whatever language you need to do in the legal documents and in your private meetings. But I think it's important when you're talking to the students to hear the words that the students are giving you. And so yeah, blah blah legal jargon. We've said that this is anti-blackness. We are the authority. We are the in this room is the authority on anti-black. You know what I mean?
All the white administrators in this building are not the authority.
Yeah, and so I'm comfortable with you doing what you need to do in the privacy of whatever type, But when it comes to addressing students, I think it's your responsibility to take the words we are given to describe our experience and using those. Is that?
And not changing them to make yourself feel comfortable.
Well, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I mean, I feel like it does go a long way, legal documents wise, so that this shit is documented for people who are coming to Evergreen to know that it wasn't just a quote unquote incident.
No, I agree. Yeah.
I think I can do that. The problem is whenever I open my mouth, it is a public document. It's a public statement. And when it becomes a public statement, it becomes a legal statement. So if I'm more than willing to use the language that students are using. The dogma is when that translates into some legal action, or if it does, then I need to be very careful. That's why I mince my words very carefully. Everything I say is potentially a legal action. So it frustrates the hell out of me.
More training will be done about this as part of the thing we're saying, but I think what I'm getting at is that when balancing between the line of legality and what that's going to look like, and then what effect on mincing words will have on the student population, I need the emphasis to err on the side of protecting the student population, even if there's legal repercussions.
And if I might, I think related goes to the question of, gave us some excellent language around trainings. So we're using language about cultural competence and anti-bias, using those languages much more specific. So anti-racism, training in sexual assault, training for trans-queer population, student faculty, right? So different forum, but I think the language is there. So
we're fixing our neoliberal arts education.
Absolutely, baby. Absolutely.
Let's not start looking in the archive and see how many times students already done this.
Oh yes, this is
I work in the archives, I can do that for you.
Oh yeah, we got
focus stuff.
everybody's got lots of
I don't need to be depressed right now.
Naomi's class right now is working on a film, and we went in the archives to almost the beginning of time with Evergreen, where the whole email scandal that broke out between the staff and faculty, it's not the first time that this has happened.
So what do you think we should do about email here?
What do I think you should do about email here?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's nothing you can do. Like, that's like saying, what can we do about people writing a letter? Like, people are gonna send emails. We can't stop people from sending emails.
Oh, yeah, we can.
No, we cannot. We cannot stop people from sending emails. Everyone, you can't stop somebody from typing an email. You can't. I can send an email right here. You're not gonna stop me.
And also,
I'm just telling you that it's not the fact of them sending emails. It's the content of the emails,
exactly.
and the fact that it's not being addressed. The fact that what's being said. He's sitting here saying he thinks everything okay. Like, he still doesn't think he did anything wrong, and that's y'all's fault.
Who are we talking
Y'all,
about?
Brett
Brett
Weinstein. He still thinks what he said in those emails is okay, and that's because of y'all. All of y'all sitting up here.
It's not a matter, I mean, like, honestly, we'd be even worse off if you just said, stop sending emails, and we, the students, didn't get to see what was happening. Like, this shit behind the scenes didn't just start happening when the emails started being sent. It's the bias that these teachers hold within their heads, and it translates to not just to the emails, but what is Brett teaching his students? If this is how he speaks to other faculty and staff.
Okay.
Like, racism is not about evolution and science and all that bullshit you're sending in his email. Like, it's nothing. He's sitting here telling us, I've studied the academia behind. We live
can
this
take
shit.
your white ass
We
ways
live
and-
it every day. So you need to listen to the people who didn't have to read a book or go to a class to learn about racism and oppression. Like, stop listening to those people who read books about it. You need to listen to the people who live it, who experience it every day.
And one more white faculty member tells me that they read a Bell Hooks book once 15 years ago. And also, since you said you can control people stopping sending emails, can we have white faculty stop quoting people of color at the end of their emails after they spit out some racist bullshit?
Also, I don't sorry. Go ahead. I was gonna say, I don't understand how the diversity and equity plan was presented as this thing that people had to get on board with at this campus if you got paid by this campus, and then then it's turned around and then you get to send out all these emails about it. Because it was presented like that at the meeting, as if you don't have a choice because this is the new direction that Evergreen is moving to. And those were literally the word for word words that were used, was that you have no choice in this plan. You're either going to get on board or you're going to get left behind. And so I don't understand why it was even acceptable to be sending the emails in the first place if there was no choice. And so that to me feels like mistrust in the way that you said the equity plan would be used, and the way that the people that sit on the equity plan felt like it should be used, and the way that the campus blew this whole equity plan up as if it was going to be this great thing to turn around and allow people to then use it as a weapon in the way that Brett did. It just doesn't make sense to me why he's still here if this was something you had to get on board with.
I believe the equity plan is a great thing. I also know that in every organization, in every school I've been a part of, there are always people who don't buy in. Mm-hmm. And the problem is, they have an opportunity to speak their mind. Even sometimes they do it in the most offensive ways. Mm-hmm. And how do we stop people from speaking offensively? That's a challenge. There is this concept of free speech. Mm-hmm. Now, if it constitutes a hate crime, if it's targeting a certain population, then we got a point of leverage.
So what's his emails not targeting a certain population?
I'd have to go back and look at the emails. They're not in front of me.
I'd also like to, the way free speech is used is so dangerous a lot of times, but also veering on the understanding that sure, free speech, but your responsibility is as an educator, and where is that line happening? Because in all intents and purposes, you're arming people with ways to defend their anti-blackness is what that email did. Was I confused while reading it? That's what I got. Some white guy in my room the other day basically said some bullshit and then was like, Brett Weinstein's email. I'm like, the fuck?
This is March 15th email that the students were passing around.
There's a lot of them.
The Brett Weinstein. The one that said something about our genetics.
Yeah. If there was interest in public presentation and discussion of race through a scientific and evolutionary lens, I would be quite willing to organize such an event.
I mean, I think it's also not a coincidence that he decided to target Naima and Rashida as black women and black.
That was no coincidence.
I don't mean to put my hands up to silence you, that's not my purpose. It's a sign of my utter frustration at the challenges that we have in every organization. There are gonna be a handful of people who are just gonna tell us all to fuck off. Please don't put that down in the video. I'm gonna get fired for that. Okay.
Trust me, if people don't get fired for 15 years of what was that word, Ken? Of patterns, you're not gonna get fired.
President, the average life expectancy of a college president is 4.5 years.
So you're halfway.
I'm at halfway, but you know, statements like that might make my lifespan much shorter. They're gonna say some things that we don't like, and our job is to bring them around, or get them out.
Right.
And what I hear us stating that we are working toward is bring them in, train them, and if they don't get it, sanction.
Right.
And you must, and I encourage you to hold us accountable to doing that. We're gonna make a commitments at 4 to the things that we agree to. And I make it not get the words out of my mouth just right, but we're gonna do this.
Can there be
I'm sorry.
or just, can there be is there any way to word some sort of language about a commitment towards really targeting STEM and a lot of this? Like everyone needs all of this, but
regarding targeting
sciences as far as like education about like these kind of issues, because like I know like one black woman on this campus is often like one or the only like black woman person in their classroom, and basically just has to sit there in the corner and suffer through everything. And like I complain about my classes, but then like she's telling me that like every single day someone is saying some bullshit and the teachers there aren't educated to do anything. And so it's definitely not just a science issue. There's no way to say that, but like if that's the place where it's like happening like the most consistently, I think there needs to be something written down that's like even extra emphasis on like addressing those teachers. And if that's where a lot of these like, I mean, the man used the word genetics. I mean, like, that's a basic.
Afro-punk release.
I have a question.
Yeah, they released
Because most of the like everybody in this room on that side, y'all got the emails, right? And how Brett.
Oh, Brett came in?
Yeah. How many of you sent out an email in respect to sticking up for Rashida? Think about how much power you have.
Or Naima.
A number of us went and spoke to him individually.
Yeah, but I'm talking about an email though.
Yeah,
we're talking about documents, and emails are documents, right? At any point in time, somebody can go and say, "Give me all of George's emails," right? And then we can move forward from there. So why didn't you use your autonomy and your power and your white privilege to stick up for the same people that what was the person's name who was sitting right here? It was called Carol?
Sarah.
And was talking about how how when we do anonymous reviews on faculty and staff, how it falls back on these very same people, the black women, right? That's what she said out of her mouth. So where were y'all at?
And also, how many of y'all checked on the well-being of Naima and Rashida?
And also, it's not enough to just go speak directly to that person, like the student population who are being affected and educated by these people. We need to see powerful evidence that they are being supported.
Yeah.
So we need to see this.
Yeah, no, that you were talking about putting training in place. You, George, were talking about putting training in place, and that being what y'all can do moving forward. But what I'm wondering is, what is going to be happening with the teachers in the meantime during this training? Are they still going to be teaching students? Because even though I'm graduating, if I wasn't, I wouldn't want to be a guinea pig where a racist white teacher kind of tries out this whole non-racist thing with me as a student.
I want to answer my question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
So I think, I hear your question, Kenneth, and I've thought about that a lot. I'm sorry, wait, can you repeat your question first?
My question is, why didn't the white administration in this room, why didn't you use all of your privileges that you have to stick up for the faculty and staff, the black women that do the work for the students? Why didn't, when they were by name being called out and humiliated in front of the entire school?
The way y'all standing up for Brett,
Why didn't y'all use?
So I hear the argument that there was a missed opportunity.
Yes.
For one or more of us to weigh in and participate in that. And my thinking behind it has been, I hate that email distribution list.
Mhm.
And I don't wanna support it.
Mhm.
And I don't wanna pretend that it's dialogue, because it's not. It's soapboxes. And I was deliberate in choosing not to participate. And it was because I didn't want more on email. That was my framing. And I hear the argument that it was a missed opportunity also.
Your silence is white violence.
Yeah, I was waiting to say that this whole meeting. White silence is violence. Y'all need to understand that.
But we have
You
no,
sitting
but we don't
aside,
have any
letting
legal
your
way to
faculty,
claim that.
letting your coworkers, letting your students go through this, like, that's violence. Y'all sitting here not saying anything, that show me, the fact that you didn't want to send an email, that shows I don't care enough to send an email. Like, it's just blatant, like, y'all just sitting here telling us over and over again. And I guess I'm getting frustrated now, because it's like, why am I sitting here? I know why y'all didn't stick up for Rashida and Naima. I know why y'all didn't do that, because y'all don't feel it inside of you to do that. Like, as people, you don't feel the need to do that, because you can't relate to us, because you've never been oppressed, so you don't feel like it's your place to say anything.
And also, if you're not willing to stand up for or seek out to figure out the well-being of Rashida and Naima, people who are paid faculty, who are like what is it? I hate that email. What you mean you hate that email system? People that you should have a closer relationship with. If you can't stand up and fight for them and wonder about their well-being, how is that supposed to make me feel like you care about me or my well-being?
I'm gonna politely disagree with both of you. I am really angry about this situation. I am really angry about those emails. And I am really angry at the deans and the Brett and the others. I was infuriated by this. And it has to stop. Now it's not stopping. So we gotta do more. And that's why we're here right now. And thank you for raising the issue. I am angry. And I also believe in this institution, and I believe it's gonna get better. And it's gonna get better when we appoint a VP. It's gonna get better when we take the actions we're taking. Is it good? But we have to act.
Can we get more water in there?
Yeah.
I can go do it, but I just need to know
I have
what.
a question. No, can somebody else go do it actually?
I
Somebody
understand
who's
that.
taking notes.
I understand that you say you're angry, but for those of you who were also on the email, I'm pretty sure you remember when Michael, who is a student, staff, replied to Brett's email and called him racist, and which you then had a meeting with him and told him it was inappropriate for him to call Brett racist via email.
No, I didn't tell him it was inappropriate. That was not the word I used. I have the same feelings that Wendy does about the email listserv. It's a terrible way to communicate particular issues that are incredibly sensitive, incredibly volatile. And I just asked him not to use that lever. And I did not mean that in any way as an admonishment. I have the deepest respect for Michael. And I didn't want to see him get into a shouting match with a faculty member in which there's such a profound power difference. The people on this side of the table need to handle that, and when we're not, you're holding us accountable. You're calling us into account. This is good. So that was. If it was misunderstood, I'll own that, and I'll talk to Michael again. But I respect him deeply.
But you understand what you did though, right? Like intention versus impact. Like that might have not been in your intention, but you understand what you did was like, hey, don't use that lever. You policed Michael in trying to expose that racism. Instead you're like, hush, hush, hush. I gotta understand that that's what y'all perpetuate.
I own that. I own the fact that it perpetuated the problem. And I understand the difference between intention and action. Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna need to take a break pretty soon.
Okay, yeah, let's all take a break.
Yes, I'll take a break.
And then I wanna sit down and write my notes out. I wanna get ready for the 4 o'clock meeting so it's responsive.
So
who sent out the email to everybody?
It's been sent, and I've been reposting it. So what are you saying now? Is that we're not seeing you again until 4, or that?
I'm saying I need to take a break. If there's more you need to talk about, or want to talk about.
Can we just give a list of actions that will be read out?
Yeah, I want to know everything that's going to be addressed at this meeting, and just so I can make sure.
Cool, and then we can go on. Yeah.
How about if we connect back at here at 4:45 to go through the list of items specifically?